Evil Squid Comics Podcast, episode 2, or volume 3. So episode 2, volume 3. That's what we are. I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
Scott's drinking.
And I'm Scott.
I'm confused.
What are you confused
Episode
about?
2, volume 3.
Yeah,
Got
it's
it.
like volume 3, episode 2. We reboot every year.
I know, I don't
Season
remember.
3.
Because that's what Marvel
Episode.
does.
I don't remember doing season 3 episode. I remember doing
Season
the
3,
episode. I just
episode
don't
3.
remember it being called season 3, episode 1.
Oh, you don't?
No.
It's volume 3.
Yeah, he calls them volume. I called it a season because it seems
I
like
initially
to
called
me
it a
there's-
season, and then I switched to volume
I was
for a comic book
something.
podcast.
Odd years were volumes, even years were seasons. So
Okay.
We'll go to season
No, I
We'll
think
go to
4,
season next year.
and then we'll go to
Scott has a
volume
cool action figure of Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian.
Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian.
Grogu.
Din Djarin.
This is old because it says the child.
It does, yes. So it was old there.
This is old school.
Yeah,
old.
if
I
it's
wonder if the
old
new
school.
ones will say Grogu, and everybody will have to
It
buy
probably will.
those.
But
Well,
that-
because
actually,
they're
I don't. It won't because I've already pre-ordered that one.
And it says the child.
They might change it, but at least at that point in time, it was still saying the child, type stuff. Because Hasbro didn't know what the hell the name was going to be when they had to go ahead and start, mocking up crap and doing things.
When's Kenner getting the license back? That's what I want.
Yeah, never.
Does Kenner even exist?
They don't
anymore?
exist. They got bought
Yeah, they don't exist.
by Hasbro. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
why Hasbro has it.
yes.
Makes sense.
So the story with this one, if you're ready,
Yeah, sure. Let's jump right into that.
We'll jump right into it. This is why this thing is sitting here.
Story time.
So the story time.
Did you want to give it to me?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the story, you might realize that I something, but so anyway,
He's gonna make us fight Fight Club style.
Yes,
like winner
there
gets
you
it.
go.
Dude, I'll win. You're old.
so this particular action figure thing is a Walmart exclusive. Now, why on earth Hasbro would decide to take the most popular character from The Mandalorian, being the child, and something that's really cool stylized, the Mandalorian, put them together and make it an exclusive to one freaking store
Well,
is
it's
beyond me. Okay?
Yeah.
So they do that. It is exclusive. So, of course, this thing came out, and Walmart, in their infinite wisdom, did a pre-order type thing because that's the popular thing, They
Yeah.
decided that you could pre-order it on October, towards the end of October, okay? So I
They
jumped...
just make enough of stuff, so we don't have to pre-order everything.
No shit. So I jumped in on it,
Yeah.
decided, yep, I'm going to pre-order this thing. I drop it in my cart because it's exclusive. They asked a little bit more for it. It was like $17. Well, Walmart has like
I
30.
remember when action figures were $3.
Yeah, no
$2.99.
kidding. So anymore, those type of ones like that are like 13 to 15 usually.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
They are.
Walmart, has this policy of spend $35 for free shipping, okay? But of course, being that close to the holiday, I don't remember if
Just
it was
buy
going to be free
two.
shipping anyway. Exactly. You could buy two, or in the case of this,
So he bought 2 and he's gonna give you 1.
in the case of this one, I actually bought just one, and I bought 2 other things, along with it, and I had the free shipping, okay? So I'm waiting around. One of my other items of the 3 shipped. I got it. It was great. This one sat there for a while, said, yeah, we'll probably ship it out around December. I do enough Kickstarters that I know that that's like suggested, type thing. So finally it comes here into the new year,
He
and
never got it.
and I get
He made this one himself
Yeah.
with his 3D printer.
so I get an email from Walmart that says, hey, we're sorry, we're going to cancel your order for this. I go, well, damn, they must have done more pre-orders than they really ended up getting stock-wise. So,
They don't.
I could see this kind
It's
of
the Seinfeld. It's
So-
the Seinfeld episode with
I don't think you understand what a
with the
reservation
reservation.
Yes.
Reserve a rental car.
reserve. So anyway, basically they send me an email first to tell me this is what's going to happen, that they're canceling it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, and then I'm like wondering, wow, I wonder how many else this happens to. I go check one of the forums that I usually go to, and they're like, oh yeah, Walmart's sending out a mass freaking thing of cancellations and things. It's like, wow, that's kind of odd. So the very next day, I take a look in my email. They said, yep, here you go. We refunded you the amount plus tax. You didn't pay any shipping, so here you go. It was like $19, something like that. I was like, okay,
That's like, I don't want the $19.
I got refunded. Hey, at least I tried. Come to behold, though, I take a look at one of those forums again. Say, just like 30 minutes after I get that email. This is like, I don't know, Tuesday morning or something like this. Like 8 a.m. Walmart put the fucking things up for sale on their damn website saying, place your order now and we'll ship, within 2 days. I'm like, what? So, of course, then I go in there, I jump in there, I jump, and I order.
Now he has to buy 2.
Exactly. I have to buy 2 to get free shipping now. Because I look at that, I put 1 in the cart, and I go, what the fuck? The shipping is like $7-8, I'm like, what the, Jesus Christ, type thing. And I think, oh, well, what the hell? So I'm panicking at this point because I know all these people for this forum are jumping in here because, hell, they just sent out freaking hundreds of cancellations. So I drop 2 in my basket, I get in there, I get it, place it in my cart, boom, okay, it's gone, type thing. So, but one of the things that people were speculating on was originally when I pre-ordered this, it was just the figure. Well, then about a month later, during the pre-orders, they said, oh, well, guess what? Because it's exclusive to us, we're going to sell you this figure, and we're going to give you like this little Yoda pin, baby Yoda pin. I'm like, cool. So then when my order got canceled and I jumped in for the new ones, it said, yeah, get this action figure with exclusive child pin. I'm like, great, this may actually work out better. I'll get this with these cool little pins, whatever else. Lo and behold, I get these things in the mail, and there's no fucking pin. I get 2 of them. So I'm like, okay, well, at least I got the figure that I wanted, and everything else. But by this time, I'm a little peeved that Walmart, did all this weird shit anyway.
Peeved?
Now
you're a little peeved.
Now he's got his
right.
Mandalorian action.
Okay, so here's what's even more. So I call
I'd
up.
have been pissed when they canceled my order.
No, he was panicking that he wasn't going to get it.
I don't know. I was panicking
He
then.
didn't have time to be angry.
Now I'm just kind of like, wow. So at this point, I'm just like,
I get pissed, then I get panicked.
I'm just like kind of irritated. Let's put it that way. So then I call up Walmart, type thing through their customer service and whatever the hell else to get there. Guess what? They can't do anything because their system's down and they can't get to any orders. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. You guys are, do you know how to run an online business? No,
they don't.
So finally I decide, I'll wait, So then I call then, like 2 days later. I tell them what my problem was and whatever else. And they go, well, we don't have those in stock. I mean, we could try to put you on a hold type thing until those do come back or whatever else. Or we could just give you a refund. I'm like, what? I was like, do I have to send anything back? No, you keep what you got. We'll just give you a full refund. I'm like, okay. So I basically got 2 of this action figure after it was all said and done for free. But how can you run a business this way? Is my problem. I'm actually happy. I'm satisfied and everything else, which is good. But I sure as hell won't pre-order anything from Walmart again.
You have 2 of these and you didn't have to pay for them?
I have 2 of them, and I did not have to pay for them.
Well, he only has 1 now because he sold 1 at eBay.
Are you going to open it up and play with it?
I'm actually thinking I'm going to open the other one up and set it on my desk because I've got the little baby Yoda in that one.
When did they say his name? I didn't know his name was Din Djarin.
First season. No, the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian
is Din Djarin.
Din Djarin. I don't know.
Did you know that?
Yes.
I did know
his
that.
His name was Din Djarin?
Yeah,
yes.
but I don't know. I don't know if it was in the show.
I think it was in season 1. One of the later episodes or something like that.
I think it was.
See, I thought Scott was going to call up Walmart and they're going to go, "Oh yeah, just come on down. We have a whole bin.
box.
We have an entire 1,000 bin of these pens. Just
they probably do
and
somewhere because from what I've been reading, nobody's getting the freaking pin. But yet they're showing up on eBay, so I imagine somebody just took out that like your box like you're talking about.
But
and took it out the back room,
But are they real pens on eBay, or are they just like cut out pictures and people say they have them?
It looks like the real pin. They're taking a picture of both sides.
Quick, similar story. So we ordered a water bottle for Emma off Amazon. And they sent it to us, and it wasn't what we wanted, so we asked to return it because you could return it or whatever. Well, Amazon said, we'll just give you your money back and just keep it because it's really not worth our time and money for you to ship it back to us.
Yeah.
And so Amazon now has like an artificial intelligence that's gauging whether it's even worth their time for you to ship stuff back to them. They'll just refund your money and let you just keep whatever you don't want.
Nice.
Yep. I've had that actually happen.
So then my wife went and sold like the water bottle for $5 on Facebook. So we got the refund. We got $5 off the water bottle we didn't want. And
there you go.
So, just find stuff at Amazon that you can buy that when you return it, they don't want it back and you can just go sell it.
Anytime you buy anything on Amazon, just tell them that you don't want it. And then then you'll find out.
Then you'll find out every
Yeah.
single time.
Even if you want
Well,
it.
I think it's because it's this cheap, like plastic stuff that isn't really worth it. It costs
a
them
lot of
so
times-
much to make, so little to make. The markup is so huge, it's
and it
just not
depends
worth
on
the
which
shipping.
seller you're going through sometimes. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
a lot of them, you know, qualify and they work with Amazon Prime, you
Yeah.
know, whatever else. But I mean, if you're really getting something that's truly from like a bigger retailer and things, they may very well do that. The smaller ones will say, fuck no, I still want that thing
Yeah,
back,
exactly.
you know, type things, no matter if it does cost me freaking, you know,
Correct.
$10 to ship it back. So it's a bit of a gamble
It's a
there,
gamble.
but
I just think it's interesting.
yeah. Well, like I said, I don't know. I mean, to me, it just seems like from every step of the way with
Did you
this Walmart
put on that
experience-
forum that just call and complain and they'll give you your money back?
Yeah, I did. But, you know, but
Or
even
got 50
then,
calls.
well-
Well, so and so got his money back.
but that's
I
the
want mine
thing.
back,
From what
too.
I've been reading, you know, type things, it's been hit or miss. Some have been told, oh, well, we'll give you 20%, you know, back. And, you know, type things, you know, max. And others have been told, no,
They
you
just-
can't do anything for you, you know, and
Do
things like
anything
this.
for you.
They
So,
have a wheel right
I just
there.
happened, yeah, I
And
happened
it
to get
says
a hold of the
20%
right
off,
person.
50% off,
Free.
keep it,
Yeah, that's
refund,
right.
and they just spin it every time somebody calls in, and you got lucky.
That's
you
what I
hit
figured.
you
I
hit
got
the
that.
refund
I don't
and
know.
no return.
But yeah,
That's the way life works, man.
I just,
Roll the dice.
from every step though of this, I'm just thinking your freaking online infrastructure is just so messed up. You guys
Well, I don't know where they're
don't
doing
know
all
what
this
the
exclusive
hell
stuff.
you are doing.
They're putting out like new GI Joe figures now, right? Have you
Yes.
seen those? And some of those are Walmart
Are
exclusive.
exclusives. And I've heard that's a circle jerk too.
And I'm like,
And there again, that's Hasbro.
yeah,
you
why
know,
is all
with
this
them,
stuff
so-
Walmart exclusive?
Yeah. Well, it just floors me with this one. I mean, think how many that Hasbro could sell because it's got the little fucking child in it, you know? I mean, god dang. That's like something that you use to get people into these hobbies and whatever the hell else, and that would be
No,
popular with
it's all
kids and
about
that type of stuff.
Milking you 40-year-old
But-
somethings for as much as they can.
I guess, but I mean, I
It's
can
the
understand that. But you give the freaking dude with the ice cream maker or something like this, you know? Okay, I can understand this, but you got the freaking child. That's what you use to bring new people in, and not as some exclusive. So I don't know. Their methodology just floors me.
Oh, he's got that cool gun.
That's a big
Cool
gun.
action figure. I want like a bigger one though.
Yeah.
You want the bigger one?
Yeah, what's that size?
No.
12-inch?
There's probably that. There's the 6
Oh,
inch.
the
that's really
action
popular
figure or the
now.
gun?
Did you see that they're making a Nerf gun of that?
No.
I think it's freaking huge too. Of this big old whatever the
I
hell
want
thing
to
it
make
is.
a Nerf jetpack that
Incinerator.
I can fly around in.
A Nerf jetpack.
Oh well. Anyway, that's my story there for it.
Nice.
So
That was a good
buy
story.
from Walmart, I guess, if you like want it for free or something. But
Plug for Walmart.
if you're just willing to basically bang your head into a table though for all the stupidity that they do. But
I watched, after you talked about it last time, I watched The Vow.
Oh,
Did you
that's
finish it?
horrible. Yeah, I got through all 9 episodes.
Yeah.
It really went nowhere. It just was the same crap over and over. I'm
Right?
like-
And then it ends on the good stuff. And they're like,
yeah, and then like the last 15 minutes, it's like, oh, there's some good stuff there. It's like, dude, you should have led with that.
right. And now it's going to be...
Well, they never really told you. Like we were like, they never really got into it very much. You know, the details.
Right, because they're setting it up for the arrest and then the trial and
Yeah.
then the so if you want, just go to Wikipedia and
Yeah, I
you
just
can
went to
read
Wikipedia
season-
and you read all about it.
and read them. Yeah.
I'm definitely
Or-
not watching the second season.
I might, because now they're spinning it towards it. They're gonna talk to him and get that
Yeah.
that main lady's point of view
I just
and
thought
talk
like,
to her because
well,
they
I just
showed her.
hated how it kept jumping around. Like you feel like you get some forward moment and they go back to like some character from 10 years ago and do like her whole story. I'm like, dude, this is.
I did like.
I mean,
that.
the first couple episodes were interesting, but then they just spun their wheels for like 7 episodes until like the last 15 minutes.
I did like
Really?
the scene where the what's his face and the lady from Star Wars,
Oh yeah,
Aunt Beru,
Aunt Brew.
when they go back to the town where they were at, and they
Albany?
walk into the coffee shop.
Yeah,
And they're like, the people are like, "Oh, what are you here for?" And he's like, "You want the short version, the long version? You want the truth? You want me to lie to you?" And they're like, "Well, tell us." He's like, "Well, we were part of this sex cult and this and that and blah blah blah." And that one lady's like, "Yeah, I had a friend of mine or somebody I know invited me one of those things, and I went, and I was just like, I was just way too smart to get involved in a cult." And you could see Aunt Beru like back in the corner, just like,
oh yeah,
yeah, F you, asshole. They're like, I'm not stupid. Like, you're calling me an idiot.
Well, I love that
Like,
line.
how
He's
awkward
like-
would that be?
Well, I like the one guy. He's like, nobody joins a cult. You know, nobody like says, "I want to join a cult." You
signing
don't
up
realize you're joining a cult, and then it turns into a
Didn't
cult.
turn into
It's
that.
like nobody like says, "Hey, you want to join a cult?" Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in.
A sex cult where they brand you in
Yeah, let's do
in
that.
your vagina.
I like
Okay,
that.
cool. I like that. Oh, the chick from Smallville's gonna do it? Do the branding? All right, yeah, I'm in. Sign
There
me
you
up.
go.
Well, it's funny how many like in those early episodes you had all those people from like Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yeah.
From like Smallville. I'm like, wow,
I looked it up, and
those people must have got out.
they must. Well,
Or
I
they
don't
ended up
know.
not running the sex cult.
Right.
Allison Mack did.
That Allison Mack was married to the chick from Battlestar Galactica, the one that played like the mechanic lady
She's
or
married
whatever.
to her?
Yeah, till like 2019. For like 2 years, they were married.
Oh, wow.
Really?
At least that's what the internet told me.
Well, it must be true.
I don't know,
That must be true. That's right.
but yeah, and
What-
I was like you. It
What
was like
what was that on?
I was.
It's HBO.
It's
Is it HBO? Okay.
I was like,
It's
I
like
got tired of it after like 5 episodes, but
Yeah.
I had to keep watching it
Yeah, we were the
because
same
I
way.
knew that it was gonna go
Like-
somewhere. Like it's got to go
I kept
somewhere.
waiting for it to go somewhere, and it finally kind of did at the very, very end. And you're like, wow, it's a lot of. And that one lady who had the daughter who was trapped in it, who was kind of the focus of the last half, she was so annoying. I hated
Yeah.
her.
Well, she was like, she's like a freaking prince. Her mom's like
Like a princess or something.
and she was on Dynasty, I guess, because
Yeah.
I looked her up a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
and-
She was pretty famous, and she was rich, and but she was just kind of started getting on my nerves after a while.
yeah.
And so is it like a lot of documentary style?
Oh, yeah.
It is a documentary.
Okay,
It's a
the whole thing.
documentary.
It's totally
yeah.
a documentary.
And
Yeah, it's
one of
just
the
like
guys
interviews
that's- And the thing that blew me was like,
I don't know where they got all that footage.
right, exactly. That's what I'm talking
But
about.
I think the documentary started as they were documenting Nexium or whatever
Yeah.
it is. But then it turned into like an expose documentary. So they had
Right.
all this footage like
Yeah.
that they normally wouldn't have
And
had.
then, but the thing that blew me that I couldn't figure out is like, they're like, yeah,
If
he
you're gonna-
said,
if you're gonna start a cult, make sure you film everything,
Everything.
right? It's a brilliant move.
and, hey, let's go for a walk at 3 a.m. And then they had audio of it.
Yeah, I
like
know.
it's like a one-on-one with like some woman, and it's like they have audio of the conversation.
No,
I'm like,
oh
what
my
is
God.
going on?
Yeah, that part was weird.
And then, but then the best part, well, not the best part, but one of the good parts was when he got that dude from Mexico that like had all the money or whatever, and they started down in Mexico, and he's like yelling at them about, you're rich and this is why and this and that, and then they go to, so they were making a documentary because one of the main guys that's in the thing, he was a filmmaker
yeah.
before he got into Nexium, and so then he got into Nexium. And then, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. The main guy,
Keith Raniere.
Keith Raniere. He's like, hey, let's document this stuff. Like, let's make a movie for Nexium. And so, like, he has this guy who that's what he
Just
does
film
for a
everything,
living, like
yeah.
filming everything. Well, they get involved with some high family, some rich family, money family, like down in Mexico or whatever. And they want to bring like
I think it was like the president's son or something.
yeah, like the president's son of Mexico, and they like come in and then they like start up like a Nexium branch down in Mexico or whatever. Well, then they start making a documentary about this. Well, then like the guy's like it's like gone on for like 5 years. And like when it started, like Keith Raniere had like this long hair, and he looks like David.
like a cult leader.
He looks like a cult leader, and he's like, yeah, I think we need to reshoot all that stuff with me with like my short, clean cut hair, so that I don't look like a cult leader. And there's like this guy on there who was like kidnapped, like and held for ransom, like when he was a kid or whatever, and they like cut off his thumbs and like did all this stuff, and so. They have to do all reshoots, so they have to bring this guy back in, and he has to like retell the story of like how he was kidnapped and how his thumbs were cut off, just because Keith Raniere didn't like the way his hair looked in a video from 5 years ago, and this guy's got to come back and relive all this horror shit from his
Total
life,
cult leader move.
because this guy doesn't like the way he looks on camera. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah, it's crazy.
what an a-hole.
But yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, it was just so long and so repetitive.
Yeah.
I don't know what that guy's Nippy name is. How do you get a name Nippy?
Nippy. I don't know. He was like a baseball, football player or
Nippy.
something.
What the hell?
He was a sports guy.
I guess.
Yeah,
His
I don't
wife
know.
has Keith Raniere's initials branded on her vagina.
And Allison Mack. It's both of them. If you turn it, if you look
That's
at
right.
it this way, and if you turn it this way, if you look at it straight
was
on,
like
it's
the
an
fire
AM.
and
I
the
know. Isn't that
mountain.
great the way that they
Awesome.
sold it? So
It's like the elements.
they get branded.
Right. I knew about that.
And so, like, if you look at it, it's like supposed to be like a mountain and this and that and all
Some
that. Like they tell
waves.
them it's supposed to represent like the waves and the sun and the moon and the cloud and all the 5 elements coming together. And that lady's like looking at it. And she's like, "That looks like an A and an M." She's like, "That's for Allison Mack."
If you
And then
rotate it 90 degrees,
if
it
you
looks
return
like a KR.
It's a K and an R. It's Keith Raniere. She's like, "I have these people's initials branded on my vagina." And I don't know, when she's telling that story, like when it happened, like it's like at this house. It's like a scene out of what's the
Eyes
my
wide
God.
shut.
Yes, Eyes Wide Shut. It's like an Eyes Wide Shut thing, right? They're like, they took me down into this basement, they blindfolded me, and like they laid somebody on the table, and they take out like a soldering iron, and they're like branding into skin, and like they're doing like everybody, and I'm last, and I'm in my head, I'm going, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And then it's like, it's your turn, and you're like, okay. You're like, no, I'd get the fuck out of there. Like I'm leaving, like Bruce Willis in
Well,
Pulp
she was
Fiction.
trying to, and
I'm
then that lady like mind screwed her and said, "Well, you have to set an example. You show that you can take it, and so set an example for everybody else." Blah blah blah.
I know, and then
You gotta be strong.
wasn't there like a so one of the other we're spending way too much time on this,
Totally.
but so one of the things was like when you get into this secret club and you get branded, like you're basically somebody's slave, and you have to do whatever they say, and you have to give them what do they call it, you have to give them blackmail basically, but they called
Yeah.
it something. It was like
Called it,
credit or
something.
collateral.
Collateral. That was
You got to give them collateral, so you have to like
give naked pictures of
naked
yourself,
pictures of yourself or
or
whatever,
your family or
so
whatever.
that if you break your vow or whatever and you don't do what your master tells you, then they're gonna expose you or
you, yeah.
whatever. And there was like wouldn't she say it was like a black lady or something that was like her master or
Yeah.
something? And she's like, so there's a black lady
She's my master.
whose
Wouldn't she have a
whole
problem
race
with this?
wouldn't she have a problem with like being a slave or owning a slave or using the word slave?
Nope.
I'm just like,
Totally okay with it.
nope, it's fine, because Keith Raniere said I need to do that so that I can, I don't know, whatever. But then I got to thinking about it, like those people,
Don gives a lot of thought.
I guess.
Like
It
the-
really hit him, you know.
that main guy that was the filmmaker and stuff,
Uh-huh.
like he said something about like, and I got into it because it was a self-help program. You know what I mean? And like they had good ideas, and like it really helped me
Yeah,
in my
that
life
first
and
episode
stuff.
really made it sound like they had a lot of good like
Right.
techniques, and they were
And-
really helping people.
And I'm thinking, like, if you've dedicated like 10 years of your life to this thing, right? And then you find out that it's like this crazy cult or whatever, I guess you probably don't really want to like salvage anything because you just want to get the fuck away from it. But couldn't you like salvage like the good shit out of it? Like if it actually did
But the
make
good stuff was all like leading up to the bad stuff. Like it was how they were mind screwing you so they could then brainwash you. You know what I mean? Like it was
Right,
all
but what I'm
But yeah, I know what you're saying.
but if the program works and it helps you become a
Yeah.
better person or it helps you do whatever,
yeah,
like but I know you can't like rebrand like Nixium into something that's good because nobody's gonna go near it. But
Well,
you
I
can
think-
use it to like
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like
But it seemed like the stuff, like in the beginning, it sounded like it was really working. But as the episode went, it seemed like the techniques maybe weren't as good as they said they were, and
Right.
maybe there was some weird stuff. You know,
I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
that's
It's
enough.
weird.
But it's long and it goes up and it goes
I
down
would
and it
really
goes up and
recommend
it
it.
goes down.
I suppose you watch the first episode and the last episode. You probably
There you go. Just like a Netflix series.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
But yeah, I don't know why they couldn't have made that documentary like 2 hours.
well, I was pissed that they made it into a second season. like they're
Yeah,
gonna make
I
a second
can't believe they're
season. I'm
making
like,
a
why
second
can't you
season.
just finish it? Like it's all happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know when this show came out, but I know all that stuff went down like 2019 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
WandaVision.
Oh yeah, let's talk.
Yep. WandaVision.
Everyone-
Did you watch it?
Of course. first 2 episodes there. They're pretty short actually too.
They were.
Yeah.
And there's only going to be like 6 of them, I think?
Well, I heard 9.
Oh, 9?
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, better then. Because I originally read 6, which...
I thought that's what I heard
like
initially.
6 30-minute episodes?
But then I
That's
looked
terrible.
it up. Well, they said they spent like $220 million making them. Like, man, they did not get their money if they only doing 6 of this.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah.
I liked it.
I
did
liked
too.
it.
I
I think it's
enjoyed it.
very stylized, which I kind of enjoy, so far, and things. And it's got enough of these little, things to make you question, as well. And for me personally, you guys know a lot of the comic history, especially with Vision and Scarlet Witch. I know nothing of that, so you guys can probably speculate a lot more on, ooh, that person might be so and so, or some of this
Not
kind of
really.
crap.
I didn't even pay attention to that. Like, I'm on the internet, and they're like, 50 hidden Easter eggs. It's like, the wizard was in this. There was a little statue of the wizard. And then, like, I didn't see it. I got nothing.
I was
got
just taking it at
nothing.
face value.
Yeah,
No, I
I'm
was
just
too. I was
watching
just
it.
kind of enjoying the whole retro feel of different
Yeah.
stuff, and things, and
I mean,
and the goofy kind of acting and whatever.
I
else,
loved
in
it.
some respect.
like the Dick
So-
Van Dyke Show, and like I'll sit there and watch. Like I used to watch Donna Reed and like Dobie
Yeah.
Gillis on like
The
late
goofy
night.
ass commercials.
So, I mean-
that
oh,
was
yeah.
hilarious too.
The
A
toaster.
from Stark Industries or something. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it. My wife did not like the first one very well, but she said the second one kind of got her back into it.
I thought the second one was a little better because it
She
was
did.
slightly
She
more
definitely
modern.
felt the second one was better.
Barbara didn't watch it at all. We watched the trailer for it, like the little commercial, and she just looked at me and she's like, "You want to watch that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's
Well,
like,
it's
"I'm
Marvel
out. You just
Cinematic
watch it
Universe.
yourself." And I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
I
And I
watched it
know
with the whole
she-
family. Like my
I know she
10-year-old
would've
thought it was
hated
funny. My 10-year-old thought it was funny. My 14-year-old thought it was funny. My wife tolerated it. It was fun. It was like a family show.
that's good. Yeah.
"That's cool."
We'll see how dark it gets.
We'll see, but yeah,
Well,
so
it's gonna
far
be in
I'm
color
enjoying
now.
it.
I
So,
know. I was excited.
Yeah.
Color.
It's very true.
Well, I was
It
trying to
is
figure out what.
so-
So Dick Van Dyke was like kind of the first one. The second one was what they say, like Leave It to Beaver, maybe Donna Reed type.
Bewitched,
Or no,
maybe?
like Bewitched. That was
Yeah.
it. And then the next one, they said it's gonna be kind of like a Brady Bunch type of style.
Well, she's pregnant now.
Yeah, so
And I mean,
70s. I mean,
She
so it's
went
going
from
like
being in a
50s,
magic
60s.
show to like 2 seconds later being like 8 months pregnant.
Well,
So
I
she
thought they
probably
had
had
some-
like 3 kids.
I thought they had some cute little touches, like when they put the beds together, because like in the 50s, like the beds had to be apart, then in the 60s,
Yeah,
the beds
I
could
know.
be together. Like, I thought that was cool. Like,
Actually, I like the little animation thing at the very beginning of
Yeah.
that second one too. That kind of reminded
Of
me of
Bewitched.
Bewitched.
Yeah,
You know, I
totally
was like,
is.
oh yeah, this is just great.
Yeah.
Like I said, the little touches there of kind of that retro feel, nostalgia feel. I thought
Yeah,
was really
it was
pretty well
kinda-
done.
I mean, I can see how if you're going in and you're like, ooh, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Disney Plus, and you're just like, what is this?
Right.
Yeah.
I could understand
Oh, yeah.
why
I
people
mean,
wouldn't like it.
And I
It's
think
not
they're
for
getting
everybody.
a lot of backlash, but I mean, I'm just up for like whatever. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's just different, I mean, they're taking some risks. It's kind of interesting.
I think
I
it
would
was
agree.
well done.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
if,
yeah,
if
absolutely.
it wasn't like, if it was just bad, like if it wasn't well done, like then yeah. But I mean, some people on Facebook were just like, I don't know, I didn't like it, and then people are like, well, I liked it because it was like, it wasn't like, a million lights going off and big battles, and it was a little
Yeah.
bit of this, and it's like, yeah, take a break from it, let it breathe, like let it be what it is. But
And maybe it would be better,
that
like,
right there is why I'm taking a break from Facebook. I can't stand that damn social network almost anymore.
I can read stuff and it just rolls off of me. It doesn't matter, but
I
yeah.
wish I could.
but
Yeah, I mean, it might have been better if they had given you a little more in the first 2 episodes. Like
Yeah.
what's going on, because they really didn't do
give you
much
much at all.
I mean, they give you like
They throw a
tiny
couple
little
little
slivers in
clues,
each one.
But it's small.
Like the
yeah.
first episode, they give you hardly
I wish-
anything. I mean,
Until the
there's
very
a
end.
very end, they're like somebody's watching
Yeah.
or
Right.
something.
I wish I would have read like that Tom King, Wanda, and Vision.
Yeah,
that
I was gonna
Vision
go
or whatever
back and read
series
it.
because
And
I
almost
wonder
that
if that.
one, the Tom King one, didn't really seem to involve. I read a synopsis of that,
Mhm.
and from everything I was reading, it really didn't involve Wanda at all. It was
It was
Vision,
just Vision,
with a,
like with a family.
a Vision like family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was really
Well, I
what
was
it
just
I don't think
wondering-
it's that influential.
Okay, I was just wondering if that maybe had a tie into this or not.
Well, that's
or
what I
whatever,
wondered too,
but-
because I heard somebody say, "Oh yeah, the Tom King series helped maybe influence this." So I was
Right.
like, "Oh, I wonder what that was about." So then I'm reading, the synopsis, and I was like, okay, I guess it could be, but there's no Scarlet Witch here at all.
I think it's almost more of a throwback to the old '80s Vision and Scarlet Witch, where like they had the babies and
Right.
they kind of went on the
And
run.
and that's before I watched it, before I saw anything. That's kind of what I was thinking, and that's what I'd told like a couple guys at work. I was like, yeah, it was all in her head.
Yeah.
It turned out eventually to be all in her head, and I'm like, maybe that's what this is. Like, this is all in her head, and it kind of looks like it could be kind of all in her head.
Yeah.
But then it's also, they threw in the
sword.
the
Or something.
well, no, the Baron's what was it? What was the watch?
Arnim Zola, Hydra.
Oh yeah,
The watch
that
was
watch
like-
said something about Hydra.
Hydra aim.
Stucker or whatever.
Strucker.
Strucker.
It was
there you
Baron Strucker watch
Yeah.
or whatever, and somebody's watching and they're like, Wanda, wake up, or Wanda,
go.
get
But
out.
the weird
or
symbol
whatever,
that was on that damn freaking helicopter she picked up that was in color.
Oh.
They were talking a little bit
Yeah.
about. And
So-
plus, part of the thing is that to keep in mind is that Scarlet Witch, whatever, Wanda, she's supposed to be in the next Doctor Strange movie. So
Well,
some
Wikipedia
speculation
said
is
it's like an
saying
alternate
maybe there.
dimension or something.
So
Right. Well, I mean, if you go by the Marvel movies, I mean, Vision is dead, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So this is somebody messing with her head, or it's all in her head, or she's creating
Exactly.
it.
She fabricated
Like,
it. Yeah.
That's what I think, even before I watch anything.
Yeah,
like
'cause
you
Vision's
should
dead.
know that
Yeah.
Vision is dead, so there's something funky going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like either she's being manipulated, or she's doing it, or it's in her head, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Well, as
maybe she's having a mental breakdown, and they're going to do House of M.
Yeah, I was trying to. As I was watching, I was like, well, where did the Scarlet Witch end up in the movies? Because she was only in. I looked it up. I guess she was only in like when Iron Man undid everything. That's when she came back, right? Because she was part of the wipeout or whatever, the snap.
the snap.
And so she was barely even in the movie. So she just came for the final battle, and then
For Endgame, she just basically came back at the end.
So it was kind of like, okay, so she's just out there hanging. I don't know how she got where she's at.
Well,
yeah,
maybe
you
this will
don't really
tell
know
us.
what happens there.
Sure.
Could be.
Cool.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys did too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on Facebook who did not like it at all. I'm like,
Well, I thought Rotten Tomatoes overall scored it pretty high.
yeah,
so,
I think the critics like it. I think,
yeah,
like I say, I think some people just want
they wanted
to
explosions.
when they go
hit
to
things.
McDonald's, they want a hamburger. When they go to Marvel Cinematic Universe, they want more of the same. They don't want anything outside their comfort zone.
Could be possible. Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, some people like what they like.
I watched a older series on Hulu, the 11/22/63 or whatever, based off of.
I started
People
watching it, but I never finished it. But I read the audio, or I listened to the audiobook.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's James Franco or whatever is in it and things. It's not bad. I mean,
It's a good book. I don't know about the series, but I really liked the book.
I did, after watching the series, I did, a quick little read to try to see some of the differences. It follows a lot from the book. The ending and some little things are a little different, but, I don't know. The overall spiel of it.
But you don't have to explain.
Just the real quick anyway. It's basically a guy finds out that there's this, what would you say, time rip
It's a wormhole.
Yeah,
It's a time
in
wormhole.
a little freaking diner. Okay, and so when he goes through this thing, he actually pops out in 1960s. Okay, and he's the same spot in the 1960s. And when he can spend as long as he wants to there, and as soon as he can go back to the same point, jump through this wormhole type things back to his time, and at this it would be 2016, and basically 2 minutes have passed.
Yeah.
So that's the whole spiel. That he's basically going back, and the whole date thing is that he's trying to prevent the JFK's murder and the mess that happens in there, type things. But because he goes back and it's like 1960, he has to spend three fucking years in there before he can actually lead up to that murder, trying to find out if Lee Harvey Oswald, say, was the only, shooter, all this
So
other
it's
type of
Umbrella
stuff.
Academy season 2.
Almost, yeah. But it moves, actually. I mean, the on Hulu, it was 8 1-hour episodes, type things, and it moved at a pretty good pace. I felt like I didn't feel like there was
originally
really
on like Amazon,
too
or
much.
was it always on Hulu?
I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Usually, if it goes to Amazon, it doesn't go to Hulu.
Yeah, they weren't really tied in too much together. I didn't think, but
I think it was
this
on
one was
Amazon.
this one was on Hulu. That was
Right.
where we watched it.
That's
but,
fine.
It's Hulu.
It's good. I love it.
But it's been out for 4 years, and it's not bad. If you like Stephen King type little stuff, whatever. I mean, it's one of the better ones I think that they've made for TV anyway.
Yeah.
I really, like I said, I really enjoyed the book. The book was good. I started at the show, and I got through 3 episodes, and I just never finished it or went back to it. I'd like to, but hell, I don't even remember a lot about the book. I just remember in the book, so the guy owns a diner and he's selling burgers for half the price of everybody else, and James Franco finally finds out because the guy goes and the guy that owns the diner. He's trying to prevent it. And so he stays there for I don't know how long, but he ends up getting sick.
Yeah.
He gets cancer and he's going to die and he can't make it the whole way. So he comes back and then he's dying and enlists Franco to go in and do it for him. But the guy's selling burgers for dirt fucking cheap. And Franco's I know, how do you sell burgers for 50 cents? He's going back to 1960, buying all the freaking meat from 1960 at dirt cheap prices and then coming back and selling it in 2016 at half the price of everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, just one of the things he's when Franco goes back, I mean, he's man, the air's really good here. The food tastes great. The milk is awesome. Everything's cool. It's just oh my God. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of the better Stephen King books, I think. It was done really well, and I mean,
It's a bold statement.
It's one of the better. I mean, it's not The
I don't
Stand.
know.
It's not
Bold statement.
it.
Stephen King, I think, is a good writer. He knows how to do characters, things of that nature. He just doesn't know how to end anything. It's always been my
used to.
complaint.
That's true.
You think he used to? Yeah.
You read his early stuff; it's super tight.
Does anybody have the CBS All Access? Does anybody watch this new Stand?
No.
Has anybody
I signed
heard?
up for,
Excuse me. Has anybody heard about it? Is
yeah,
it
I
good?
heard it wasn't that great.
It's not that great?
I just heard,
Okay.
yeah, that it's
It's middle, medium.
Because I was gonna wait till they all come out and then sign up
Yeah.
for CBS All Access
Get
and
the
watch
free
it,
trial,
but
yeah.
but I don't know if it's worth it
Well, it's
to
the
spend
stand.
that.
well. If you could try that, and if you do get into there, watch Discovery. Discovery, I almost would go there for that.
The Star Trek thing?
Star Trek, yeah,
Even
it's
Twilight
really
Zone
good.
was pretty good. I watched
I'm not
3 or
gonna
4
watch Star
episodes.
Trek.
of that.
Really, I don't know. You don't need to know much about Star Trek, and I think that this is.
Oh, I already started.
freaking-
I know enough
freaking
about
fun.
Star Trek that I
So-
don't care to watch this Discovery Star Trek show.
Okay. I'm not a big Star Trek fan, but I've been watching Discovery, and I enjoy it.
The,
Don's anti-Star Trek.
Well,
it does appear
I mean,
that way. So
no,
okay.
not really.
I guess for
I'm
me,
just-
I'm just more open with a lot of that. I like sci-fi, good, well done sci-fi, and I feel that
Discovery's good.
Discovery is well done sci-fi.
okay. That's
So-
cool. I mean, that's fine. If people like whatever they like, then they like it.
I'm
That's
like,
true.
I'm not watching Star Trek.
My
I'm not
exposure,
watching Star Trek.
my exposure to Star Trek is the movies, up the first 4 or 5 movies, and then the reboots, which I really liked. I liked the reboot movies,
Cool.
but I'm not. There's so much shit, and especially with now that I have
Are you
HBO,
gonna watch Doctor Who?
there's no. There's all kinds of stuff that I'd rather watch than
Star Trek?
Star
Than
Trek.
Star Trek.
That's all
I can
I'm
understand
saying.
that. Yeah.
I mean, we started watching. I never watched True Detective.
I haven't watched it either.
We started
haven't
watching
either.
I
that,
tried to watch the first. It's supposed to be really good.
dude. The first, we're 2 or 3 episodes in the first season. It's really freaking good. I mean, it's got Woody Harrelson
It's
and
supposed
Matthew
to be good.
McConaughey.
Mhm.
I heard the second season goes to crap. But
Yeah, it does.
the first one, I mean, I'm hooked. We're watching.
It's supposed to be super
It's
good.
really good. I think anyway.
Yeah, that's what they said.
And I mean, there's Westworld. I started watching Game of
I need to
Thrones.
watch Westworld.
I started watching
I've been using the crap out of your HBO Max.
Yeah, I started watching Game of Thrones because I stopped 3.5 seasons.
You never
So,
finished Game of
I've
Thrones?
never finished Game of Thrones.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
I've
Season 4 is the best of all the seasons.
I've-
Did you
I
see
ju-
the Mountain versus the
That's
versus
season
the
4.
Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm halfway through season 5 now.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Season 4 is the best season. That's
Yeah, that's where
Orrin
it peaked.
Martell and
It's where
Yeah,
it
it
peaks.
was a viper in the mountain. I think that's that freaking battle on the damn lake, isn't it, with the White Walkers and the fucking.
Oh
people
yeah,
over
they're not the
there.
White Walkers.
So-
They're like the skeleton people or whatever that come out
Well, okay.
when Bran or whatever they go and he finally meets.
No. The whole battle on that little freaking river village or whatever, lake village, and
I
where
thought that was later.
was that season 5? Maybe. Okay, so maybe I'm just ruined that one then. So,
Well, I've read the books.
but
No, the books only go like halfway.
I understand that, but
I
I
thought that, for
haven't
some reason
caught
I thought
up.
that was season 4. But
I haven't caught up to the books.
Oh, okay.
Like we're still covering the books. Like I haven't got past the books yet.
Nice.
And I read the book so long ago that I don't really remember. Like the only thing I remember, like when the season ended, like Cersei finally got what was coming. Like she was like an outcast or
In the
whatever
books.
in the books, I
Yeah.
think. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't remember.
yeah, but then she regains power. So
Well, damn it!
So, yeah,
You can't keep a good woman down.
that's right.
Now you just ruined it for me.
I just ruined the entire Game of Thrones for him.
Anyway,
Absolutely. You may really ruin it for you.
no.
Okay.
I'll watch it. I'm going through it at a pretty good clip.
That's okay.
That's pretty much what I've been watching.
Cool.
Oh, dude, I
The,
started,
the creators will ruin it for him.
I started rewatching the
I like Game of Thrones.
Batman animated series
I
because
liked
that's
it,
on
yeah.
HBO.
Why
The-
would you rewatch that?
Why would I rewatch it?
Yeah.
It's good.
Is it really good though? I know people like act like it's the greatest thing ever. It's a
I-
cartoon of Batman. I mean, it's not like it's like some great, awesome.
I went
thing
back and I loved Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah,
Like
why?
that thing was awesome.
at the time.
Yeah, I went back and watched it recently. It holds up pretty good.
Okay,
Anyway, it's something to watch when the kid's around.
that's true.
So
Your kids are 18.
my grandson,
Oh, okay.
I started watching it with him.
That's cool. That'd be
There you
fun.
go.
I tried to watch with Zach and we got into it too much.
Gotcha. All right. Do we want to do the authority first?
Sure. We can do the
Um,
first.
I didn't have all I read.
Was Earth Inferno?
All I read was the 4 issues because I didn't have the extra shit that's in your trade.
It's not in your absolutes?
Man, you got hosed.
Wow, you got ripped off.
I'm sure I probably have them in single issue form, but I didn't want to dig through my boxes. And
Yeah,
dig it
but
out.
why are they not in your absolutes?
The absolute only covers the authority series.
That's
It goes
a bold move, DC.
It just covers 13 to 29,
Interesting. All right.
and we basically stopped at.
It was
20.
all filler. The extra stuff was mostly filler anyway. So first of all, okay, let's delve into this. Why'd they get Chris Weston to draw this crap?
Yeah,
His style does not mesh, and he's not my favorite.
Chris Weston is okay. He's not my favorite, but yeah, he did not work at all. Like those
Like this is
Those
not.
couple of issues or whatever.
Yeah.
those first 2 issues that we read were not.
That was
The
jarring.
art was not great, and not that it wasn't great. It just didn't fit.
I think there you
Definitely
go.
didn't fit.
I mean, because okay, there's some.
well, nothing really
there's
happened
some.
in those
Well,
issues.
but there's some pretty good. There's a couple of panels.
I mean,
you know,
his style is
some
okay.
of this stuff is really
Like
cool.
if he was on like his own book, like not the Authority where we just had Quietly, I think it'd be all right. But
Yeah.
yeah, those 2 issues were not.
I don't know. I was looking at that, and I agree with you.
And I really felt
I
it
don't
hurt
like
the
his-
writing too. Like I mean, I thought those issues just kind of dragged.
Really? Oh, they're a freaking whole damn tidal wave. It's freaking New York and things.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
they move
that should
fast.
Be, that should be exciting, but it wasn't.
Oh, and the Pope gets taken out by a freaking.
And they just
Train
run
and
out of
whatever else.
ideas because it's a lot like when the God was coming back now, but now the Earth is fighting.
The Earth is fighting back because God
At least they
tried
twisted it to
place
where
a
it was the old
big old
magician
turd.
guy.
Well, the old magician.
That was a cool sequence where they're all fighting.
That's a
him.
cool
Heck
battle
yes,
fight, right?
that battle is
That
like
was
one
awesome.
of the
And it was
best.
totally the what was the vampire movie with Quentin Tarantino? From Dusk Till
Dusk
Dawn.
Till Dawn.
It's totally From Dusk Till Dawn. It's like we'll keep him busy for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, boogie boogie! Your 60 minutes are up. No.
I don't know. I liked some of this stuff though too. You know, where they were when Midnight was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
torturing him, you know, and crap and stuff. And
Well, like that's kind of my point with the Chris Weston. So he draws that prison, and it's kind of like okay, it looks like a prison. Then Frank Quietly draws it in those first couple pages,
and
in
it's
his back,
freaking kick ass.
and it's like
yeah.
really cool looking. I'm like,
Well,
oh wow.
and they're emptying the earth, you know, and sending them to all these places. And I love it when they come back. I went to, you know, parallel universe, and all I got was this T-shirt or something, you know,
Right.
on there and things. But no, that whole freaking battle at the end is just. Of course, I feel kind of bad because the Midnighter goes to all those fucking parallel Earths and brings all these damn superheroes that he fries to a goddamn
Yeah, they
crisp.
didn't last more than a second.
And I know, it's just like, holy shit.
And they got everybody off Earth, but then they ended up saving the Earth anyway.
Yeah, freaking fry them all through there.
That was a lot of trouble.
I know. I was like, yeah, he brings all these people, and then just a snap of the fingers, and oh shit, I just screwed up a 15 parallel Earths with their superheroes.
Yeah.
You know?
So they did a lot of like trouble that really didn't.
But I do like that last panel, you know, where they're like, who cares? And they burn him up, and then she kicks his head off. But,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's good.
I like
I like this story. It's probably one of my
I
favorite
thought the first
authority.
2 issues were jarring, and then
Yeah.
the last 2 really.
I agree.
Really? Okay.
But
I kind of agree with you. I mean, it was set up, but yeah, they weren't the strongest artistic issues. And Chris Weston is a fine artist, but not on authority.
you can't like put him right in 2 issues between quietly runs.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, it's really tough. Yeah.
I mean.
But I did like like you said, that last fight where he's like, they're fighting him and like his head's ripped apart and he's like reforming it as he's fighting.
Yeah.
And, like,
Oh, yeah. Well, shoot, they
and, like,
like
his
shoot
clothes,
through his
like,
whole
they-
freaking body, you know,
Yeah.
type thing.
And it's kind of cool how he's just like reforming and everything or whatever, but
Because
and
he's like,
who would have thought
yeah,
like the
this part right here,
yeah.
and then you know he like
That's when she flies through him.
he forms back up, and he's like, Jesus, that hurt, you know, type thing.
She puts down like her visor and puts her wings up, and she flies through it.
Yeah,
But anyway,
but
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I
what were the-
really,
what were the other ones then that I didn't read?
There's one about the mechanic trying to get laid.
The mechanic.
the engineer.
Engineer,
called
okay.
Mechanic.
And then there's this weird story about where it brings back like these ex-Stormwatch people.
Stormwatch people.
They look like
invade-
dead, and yeah, they invade
the what you call it,
the carrier.
Ah.
And all this stuff is basically coming back to life that should have been dead. You know, this is like some old war machine that suddenly popped back up, and they have to like beat up this crap. I mean,
That's the longest one. Is that story?
yeah,
And Coley Hamner does art on that. I don't know why they couldn't get hold Coley Hamner to do those 2 issues. He's much better than Chris Weston. And then there's an issue about the engineer trying to get laid. That's
Yeah.
a nice little
Okay.
one.
Who draws that?
That is, I can't remember now. George's Gente?
Oh, Jorge Genti.
Jorge
What
Gente.
did you take? It's not
I've
bad
heard
from a
him.
George
art
I've seen his
perspective.
stuff. Yeah. And then the last story is just Jack Hawksmoor just running around
From
talking to himself.
yeah, basically he just gives a little bit of background of himself and how he likes,
Yeah.
you know, jumping from city to city, you know, and things.
Yeah, it's
and he's just
completely
flying
pointless.
through.
Look,
I
why
mean,
did-
it's really not much. at all.
That is nothing. Yeah.
It's like, why did you bring me to Mexico City? Oh, because it's the biggest city in
the world.
in
Yeah.
the entire world.
I googled that.
Boom!
It's really not.
I don't-
Maybe it was at the
But it
time.
might have
Still
been, you know,
funny.
gotta remember
Back
this
in
was almost
2000.
20 freaking years ago. So,
Yeah.
you know, they could have been at that point in time. Now it's what? Probably someplace in
Do you guys
China.
have more of it then? Are we gonna? Keep
I have
going?
one
Yeah,
more.
World War Trade.
Yeah, one more
What?
trade. It's like the transfer of power or something like that.
Yeah, it's the
it's
last
where
one.
the fake authority takes over. Do you remember that? All those governments get pissed off and they hire like some group to come in and
It's like 25 to 29, right?
Because I have
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. New World.
22.
Brave New World.
Dude, this only has 22, 27, 28, and 29.
But that's what it is.
What happened to 21 and 23? And
I wonder if that's some of these little one shot
24,
things.
I don't
25,
think so.
26.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, that it is.
Okay, well, I'll read what I have left. I have Brave New
Let me
World.
go grab the trade, see what's in it. You don't have it with you. So.
I didn't. I left it at my house because I didn't think we were talking about it.
13
So,
to 20.
but I flipped through it just before I came over here, so I was like,
That's
"Oh
weird.
yeah, I remember that one."
Huh.
But yeah, flip through some of that. I mean, I flipped through it a little bit. Brave New World, because this is where they get basically the crap beat out of them, and this freaking
Oh,
this goofy ass team takes over.
yeah.
So,
It's got Brave New World and Transfer of Power.
oh, transfer of power.
Does it say what issues they are? Did they split it up or something?
I thought it just at the very back. Doesn't it say something?
Should 22 to 29.
Yeah.
So you have 22 to 29. So they must have 23, 24, 25, and 26. Must
almost
be
like
a
a
different
whole-
story. It's 4 issues.
But I thought the whole thing was.
Well, 21. This is missing 21.
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Huh. They'll pull out my single issues then. And maybe I'll read everything and maybe I'll figure out why it's broken up like that. Huh. Strange.
Very strange.
That's strange.
All right, what else do we read together, Tom? We read a bunch.
We
of
read. Oh. Do we want to talk about Reckless?
stuff. Sure.
So.
ooh, cool.
So the first thing I noticed, well,
Is
as
this
I was
book is
reading
awesome?
it, is that this book is awesome. But I've been doing a lot of research on like bookbinding.
Uh-huh.
This book is put together well.
Oh yeah.
There's like normally on a book this size, you'd probably do like 3 or 4 stitches.
Yeah.
There's like 8 stitches in this thing. There's like a shit ton of glue. The paper's thick, and you can look and you can see the chapters. Like it's
So this is Reckless.
out.
This is Reckless by Ed Brubaker. and
very good quality.
Yes.
Production wise, like
Well, it is
insanely
25
it's
good.
bucks.
worth its $25 in
Because you were
production.
complaining that it was 25 bucks.
I was. They're all going to be like 25. I
Yeah,
think.
but it was over. It was like 150 pages.
Was it 100? It read.
It looks
fast.
like it's
It reads fast, but all their stuff reads.
It does.
fast.
Does
really. Brubaker sometimes can get a little wordy.
Even when it's wordy, it always seems
Did you notice?
close.
Did you notice like any kind of how did you like the artwork? Did you think the art was great? Like
Yeah,
the same? Like,
Same.
I don't know. For some reason, this book it just seemed like not subpar. It was still good, but it didn't like go. I didn't go like, holy shit, this is like the greatest
But I mean,
shit I've ever seen.
to be honest, Sean Phillips is a very he serves the story, but he's not like a flashy artist.
Right? No. I understand.
So
To
none
me,
of, I rarely when I see his art do I say, "Oh, that's awesome." I mean, he's kind of like Matt Kent in that regard. Like,
Right.
I like Matt Kent as a writer artist, but I mean, if he did like a drawing, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's the greatest drawing ever."
Jeff
you know?
Lemire, sometimes I can.
Yeah,
Right.
Jeff Lemire's the same way. It's like
No, I
don't-
get it. I was
don't
just
really-
curious,
I
'cause-
mean, it's not like I'd see a pinup by Jeff Lemire and say, "Ooh, that's awesome."
Yeah.
You know,
It's
he's,
just-
But
he's not flashy. He's a good storyteller,
Right.
And, yeah,
with his art. Yeah.
correct. His art services the story.
And I tend
know.
to think that
Well, it
Phillips
was-
usually works
Phillips
pretty
is the
well with
same way.
I was like-
Brubaker, bitch, because of the he likes a lot of those darks and that kind of
Yeah.
particular color palette. I guess
Well, I
of
was-
things that works well with the kind of noir.
I was messing around on YouTube, internet, or whatever, and,
Yeah.
and someone had recently, like, but when this came out, they had an interview with
Brubaker and Phillips.
Brubaker and Phillips. Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it. I saw it.
Oh, I mean, I
was
watched
like
a little
2
bit. It was
hours.
like 2 hours. I
I
watched
have
a
no
little bit of it,
interest
but it was funny
Starting to
because
sound like me.
I know.
we've already seen, we've heard it in interviews before, but it was like, how did you guys get together? And Brubaker's like, well, like we started working together, and I really like Sean, and I knew that if I didn't keep him busy, like somebody else would grab him. So I just like started writing shit like really fast to keep feeding Sean pages because I knew that he wanted to keep working.
Yeah.
It's like, and I didn't want anybody else to get their hooks in him, so I just kept writing and feeding him pages, keep feeding his family.
It's a good plan.
And I'm like, yeah, it's great. But no, it was good. I really liked it. It's set in like the 80s, right? Like 85
Yeah.
or whatever.
That's it. That's right.
And I guess this is where they're going to be doing all these Reckless. Like, is this going to be a running character?
Yeah, he's a character.
Okay.
They took this character and they're just going to make stories around him.
So he's basically like.
Remember the Repairman Jack books? Where they call Jack and he like repairs something?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like that. They got this guy. There's like a 1-800 number. You call him and he kind of fixes your problems, right?
Okay.
And it's almost like it almost had like a Ford Fairlane feeling to it because he's kind of like he lives in like a movie theater, like an old abandoned movie theater, and he's got like a female secretary lady who's like assistant. Who's like, you really need to take this job because you haven't paid me in like 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of had a little bit of feel of that. And the only thing that I kind of rolled my eyes at that I didn't really like, I get it, it's been done and stuff, but it's like the main bad guy that they go after, he's like a drug, whatever, Lord,
Yeah.
and he's like funneling his money through the casino.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, come on. I'm like, I
Well,
get
they
it.
keep
like,
going to it because it's such a good.
I know. It's like, I get it. Like, I've seen it
strategy.
in Ozark. I've seen it in everything. I'm like, come on, dude. Do you really have to just throw in the casino so that, like, I don't know. And it might have just been the mood that I was in when I read
Sure.
it, but I was just like, ugh, come on, Brubaker. Like,
Yeah.
give me something different.
Well, why can't they
Figure it
make
out.
the whole book look like the cover?
I know, right?
That's cool.
But it's good. Like Drew said, I mean, that's the gist of it. And then, he's looking for work and he gets a call from an old girlfriend acquaintance, and he's got to go do something for her. And then there was that cool kind of twist at the end where it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah, it definitely had a twist. The character is interesting because he's an ex-FBI agent, right?
Mhm.
And he was working undercover with like a kind of like a fringe, what do you call it, like revolutionary group or
Yeah.
something. Maybe Black Panthers. They wanted to be with the Black Panthers or something. I don't
Right.
know.
Like, that's kind of the group.
And so, but he was working undercover, and then somehow he got involved with this girl, and then there was like a bomb that went off, and he got caught in some of the explosion. He lost some of his memories, and he's not all there. Like, he's got some weird memory issues going on, and so then he became like this drifter and just started this sort of like side hustle business. He quit the FBI or whatever.
Right.
You know,
He tried to go back and it didn't work.
didn't work. Yeah.
Pull him back in.
So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, you said 80s, and it probably was, but man, it feels more 70s to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's like
totally
85
got a
or
70s
something,
vibe. But yeah, I think it is 80s.
well, it probably says like on the front
I'm
page.
sure it does. But yeah, it's a good book.
But like
Like I
it's
said.
just, and it kind of pulls the whole thing where it starts out at the end.
Yeah, it's a very common.
Okay, well,
device.
close. 1981.
81.
So
So yeah, we're right in that.
early 80s.
And I guess some of the
70s.
flashback stuff was probably in the 70s.
Probably, yeah.
So that kind of makes sense.
So yeah, I was thinking it was more like 85 or something, but yeah, it was earlier than that.
Yeah. But yeah,
No, it's really good.
really good, solid. And they said they're going to put 3 of these out this year?
I guess. I mean, they already solicited. I already pre-ordered. I just
The second
pre-ordered
one.
the next
Yeah.
one in the order that I just put in for this month.
Cool.
So.
We'll see how long they keep it up. They always act like they're going to do like this thing for a while. And
That's
then
true.
They
But,
lose interest and do something else, because they were like, oh yeah, we're going to do a criminal for a while. And it was like 12 issues,
Mhm.
which I guess is a long criminal run, but it wasn't like, I thought they were going to do it for years, the way they talked.
Right.
So, but
And whatever they do, it's always good. Whatever
That's
they're going
true.
to bounce
Yeah, I don't
around
care
to.
what they
I
do.
mean,
the only series they did that I thought wasn't my favorite was like the Fade Out. Like, I liked the Fade Out, but I thought that was my probably least favorite
Least
of the
favorite?
collaboration.
see, they all kind of, other than Criminal, like Fade Out. Is that the one where the dude was like the screenwriter? Or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, that one I thought was kind of weird.
Fatale, like what was
I liked
like?
Fatale. That was the
Fatale
girl. She
kinda-
was like Cthulhu and kind of.
Oh, okay.
She was.
And then I mean, I remember like Kill or Be Killed or whatever.
Yeah, I really
like,
like
that was
Kill or Be
completely
Killed.
different. But the other ones, they all kind of seem.
Well, the criminal
same.
ones are all kind of all in the same universe, right?
Right, but I mean, like the Fade Out seemed kind of the same, and then
Yeah, this definitely
whatever the
totally
next
formula.
ones that we just said seemed
Yeah.
kind of the same, but
Yeah.
Kill or Be Killed stood out different.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
this
I
kind of
mean,
rolls into like I mean, this is rolls into like Criminal. I mean,
Yeah, it
it's
feels
like
very
Criminal.
criminal-ish.
He does it
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah, I
So
agree with that. But he's not a criminal. He's reckless.
He's just reckless.
kind of is,
Which is kind of the
well,
same.
I guess he's not really.
He's more like a PI
Yeah, that's
on the
true.
fringe of the law.
He's on the fringe of the law.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll go with that.
All right, Scott, why don't you hit us with something?
Let's see. I
haven't read either one of those.
You haven't read this?
Well, I haven't read anything. I read the first issue. I never finished it.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Are you gonna get the? Are you gonna get the Beta Ray Bill?
I doubt maybe if it
Oh,
like
you
a
get
hardcover.
Marvel. Yeah, well, he's doing a 5-issue.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
I might get it. I don't know. I won't get any single issues.
I ordered the single
Faux
issues,
show.
and then I was almost like, maybe I just won't order them, and I'll just order the
I don't know,
collection.
Scott
when it
didn't
comes
like this. I
out.
want to hear what he has to say. Come on.
Well, the art is fantastic.
Oh, okay.
I like the art, but a lot of that is just Daniel Warren Johnson there, type thing. So
Yeah, I like him.
I like that type stuff. So the art's really good, and it's not like it's awful because of the fact that it's so short. It is a quick,
super
quick read. So it's not like it overstays its welcome by any means, or any of that type of stuff. So it runs through there. It's odd, is really what the thing is, So basically, Wonder Woman, well, you introduced into this place in which it's like apocalyptic Earth, and these people that are still around stumble onto this pod that Wonder Woman happens to be in, type thing, and then Wonder Woman's it has like very little memories, trying to figure out what the hell happened to get her to that pod, and what happened to the Earth and everything. And so throughout the whole thing, are you reading this? Do you know?
No, I've not. I read the first issue. I don't care. I probably won't.
I mean, the basic thing is the fact that there's these weird creatures that are kind of in this apocalyptic world. I can't even remember what they call them now, but they're killing other humans, type stuff. Well, you find out these weird ass creatures are actually
the Amazons.
The Amazons. They're deformed Amazons because of the fact that they got nuked on, and basically radioactivity and everything basically deformed them to these weird, hideous creatures and things. And now they're taking back their shit out on the humans that are left.
Gotcha.
And so Wonder Woman's in this place of, what the hell, which side am I on? Do I protect the humans that are left, or do I protect, my Amazon people, especially when I don't really, understand, she has some understanding of what happened and what it went on, but hell, in a big chunk of it, she was almost the cause anyway. So, of different things, because she was trying to tell the Amazons, no, come on, we gotta, let the humans go. And then, so they held back essentially, and then they got all bombed. So she feels somewhat responsible for the condition the Amazons are in, but yet, she's always been a protector of the humans, so she doesn't know. But it's kind of cool, different things like here, she gets Batman's utility belt to try to help her. She
rips out Superman's spine and makes it into like a whip.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So it's got these little,
I might buy
homage
it
type things to the rest of the Justice League, or at least to Batman and Superman, and things. And like I say, the art is fantastic. That battle between her and Superman is just freaking crazy.
So cool seeing her punch her
type things, because it has these flashbacks to what happened and stuff, and basically her and Superman get into blows, and types things. And so some of that is really good. I guess for me, I just don't know that I really bought into the whole weird Amazon. You
kind of have to just go with that.
Like, you do.
You can't even look at it as like a Wonder Woman book. It's more like just Wonder Woman slapped on to like a Daniel Warren Johnson book.
It could be, or just this weird, yeah, you're exactly right. It's like an alternate universe type of thing,
Because I was reading some reviews online, and people were like, "This is stupid. It's like it doesn't make any sense." I'm like, you're not supposed to think about it.
Yeah, I don't think it was
stylized.
Stupid, by any means. It was just kind of weird, You kind of had, to your point, you basically just throw out, all expectations at the door, and you just kind of run with it, that type of stuff. A lot of freaking people dying too, though, and stuff. I mean, that was some weird calls there. I sometimes feel like he's building up a character just to
take him out.
But I mean, you really didn't build him up to any type of real point of, a feeling towards him. But yet, by the time he was taking him out so quick, it's like, oh, okay, I think I know who that guy is. Oh, wow, he just lost his head. Okay, that type of scenario where it was kind of strange, on some of the choices there, but overall, to your point, it's a very quick read. I think it was fun,
it's fun,
type thing.
It's fun if you like blood and gore and people.
Oh yeah,
dying. I'll probably pick it up at some point.
You can just borrow mine. Right?
There you go.
I could, but what if I want to own it?
Then you can buy it later.
Copra.
Okay. Did you guys talk or something for a change?
A little bit.
We did a little.
So let's talk about Copra real quick. I want to get my little thing. So I'm starting to read this, and I'm reading it like I read any other comic, just kind of casual. I just cannot get into it. I love the art, but like the story, it's just like everything's just like. It's like everything's just flying past me, and I'm like keep zoning out, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I know
guess you got
everybody
one
says
right
how
here.
great Copra is, and I love the art, but man, I just can't get into this. So I'm like, this is not good. And so finally I said, okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna really focus. Like I gotta focus. Like when I read something, like I gotta focus. You know, because a lot of times when you read comics, most comics you can read fairly casually and be fine. And so once I focused, I enjoyed this book a lot more. Mm-hmm. Are you agreeing with what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do the same thing. I mean, I actually had to like I read this in 2 sittings. Okay, so like I read 2 or 3 issues like one night, and then went back the next night and tried to pick it up. And I'm like, even when I was reading it the first time,
it was kind of falling flat, right?
No. It wasn't falling flat for me. I enjoyed it, but I had a hard time keeping characters straight. I had a hard time keeping a story straight. So there was a lot of flipping back, and rereading and trying to find out. And I had to go back and reread an issue, and then I had to go back and reread this. And then when I get to the end, then I'm like rereading stuff. So I mean, you really had to pay attention, and even paying
just read it casually.
Even paying attention wasn't enough. You still had to I still had to flip back and go, okay, this is this character, and then I'm like, well, I don't know who this is, but maybe it doesn't really matter. And then I'm just like,
it's kind of cool though.
Yeah,
the art's awesome, and I think the story's really cool too.
The story's cool too. Once it kind of establishes, and you get, once you get a feel for it, it just takes a little while,
right?
There's so many characters.
There are so many characters.
And he doesn't do a lot of explanation.
No.
I mean, he tries a little bit to introduce some, but once he introduces the characters, half of them die. And then you introduce a whole bunch of more characters.
Same problem I was having with Wonder Woman here, huh?
But I mean,
the worst, yeah.
Especially after, like, I'm coming to Copra late. Like, I know a lot about Michelle Fifi. Yeah. Like, I've seen him do the
Blood Strike.
The Blood Strike.
Yeah.
He's done the G.I. Joe. I've listened. Like, he's a huge fan of comics, right? And so, like, he's got...
Well, half these characters are, like, direct ripoffs. Like,
exactly.
That could totally be Deadshot, right?
Yes, it's Deadshot. That's what I was getting at. You've got Deadshot. You've got Punisher.
Yeah.
You've got...
They even called him, like, Castillo.
Right, I know. I'm like, dude, that's the Punisher. Like, that's totally the Punisher.
Well, I guess that's one way to keep him straight.
And, I mean, he's got, like, you know...
Yeah. No, it's great.
This guy's like Dr. whatever.
Dr. Light.
Dr.
He doesn't
Light.
last very long.
He doesn't last very long, but that's like Dr. Light. And I'm like, dude, he's totally like like, I don't know who, like, is this guy like a mix between like The Thing and like Bedrock and like Iron Man? Yeah. Like just a big, tough, you know, everybody's got a big guy on the team, you know? But I mean, yeah. But it's kind of cool. I mean, and it's trippy because it's like, you know, it's like, interdimensional. It's like got this weird.
Yeah, like it wasn't complicated enough, and then we have to introduce a guy from a different dimension, right?
And then I mean, you've got the Marauders or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Like the total Marauders, you get the dude with the tank. You know, I mean, that's like exactly what that is. And of course, they like beat the crap out of those guys. I mean, it's very cool. I mean, I like Michelle Fifi, and I like the fact that like. He uses different, like, mediums. Like, he's using watercolors, or he's using markers, he's using ink. And, I mean, like, you know, like, I'm paying attention to, like, you know, some of his, like, lines. And I've even watched, like, a couple things online, like, of him actually, like, inking and stuff. But he's got, like, where he uses this really thick line. Yeah. But then it, like, fades out. Like...
Yeah, it's like he uses, like a really crappy marker.
He uses... I think it's a brush.
It's like a brush marker.
And maybe his brush is, like, running out of ink, and he doesn't go back to, like, fill it in. And it's like, I just ran out of ink here. And I'm just like, that's kind of cool. And, I mean, as me, like, kind of... Like, I wouldn't say that he's, like... mainstream by any stretch of the means, but he has a following, you know what I mean? And he had a book through Image, and he does, you know, his limited runs of his issues like on his Etsy or online or whatever. Like, people know who he is and people recognize him. But I mean, looking at his stuff, for me, like, as somebody who's trying to like do inking or do artwork or whatever, it's just like I've read a lot of stuff recently, and it's like, dude, it's like art is art. Yeah. Like, don't stress about it so much. You know what I mean? Like, if you make a mistake, like, you make a mistake. Like, and I don't know, it was kind of refreshing to, like, look at something like this and be able to enjoy it and go, this is not like Marvel. This is not DC. This is not like
Yeah.
you know, a stylized finished product. So I mean, just as far as like the, you know, just the product itself, I think it's cool. But I do enjoy the story too, because like we were just getting into. I mean, yeah, and then you got this other villain from it. You've got this weird shard thing that like's going around, and then you're like in another dimension because one of the characters, he's almost like Longshot. Like he comes,
Yeah, he
like he's
kind of falls into the
stuck
dimension.
in another dimension, and he falls into this world. You know, he doesn't look like Longshot, but the story's kind of Longshot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, and it very much pays homage to like, you know, the 90s image. It's just like all out action, but it's done in a good way where he's actually a decent storyteller.
Yeah, like the story draws you in and you care and it's interesting.
Right, but
and
it's got the
builds up
cool,
and has pacing. You know.
but it's got the cool action scenes, and it's got the cool, like, you know, it feels like a really well done like 90s image book.
Yeah, I agree, and that's totally what he's going for, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I mean, once I started focusing, it was better.
It was
took
hard.
A while to kind of
because
had to orient myself a couple times.
Exactly, and I think that, you know, he does that on purpose.
I don't know if he does it on purpose.
Well, I mean, he introduces a bunch of characters, and then, you know, you kind of have to fall into it. And I think, like, as the story goes, like, you learn more. I think this book is very, like, the more you read it,
the better it gets.
The better it gets, because you're going to understand it more, and you're going to be more familiar with it. It's not like Ghost Rider or whatever. You can pick it up, like you said, and just casually read it, and then, you know, it's like A, B, and C happens. I mean, there's more to it, and I kind of like that. It's almost like Grant Morrison, like without Grant Morrison, like you have to do a little bit of homework and you have to pay a little bit of attention, but it's going to make sense.
Sure.
But like with Grant Morrison, like you have to pay a lot of attention, you have to reread stuff, and then you have to research.
That's right.
You have to do a ton of research on the internet, and then maybe you'll understand it. You know what I mean? Like, he's not just handing you like, here's an issue of Daredevil. Like, it's all there. You just kind of have to pay a little more attention. But I had the same thing like you did. Like you said. I mean, I really
took a little while to.
But
really
I'm like, there's like 5 of these.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm ready to order 2, 3, 4, and 5 because I want to read the rest
2.
of it. Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
But
are you?
Yeah. So anyway,
but yeah,
I enjoyed it.
No, I did too. Like I said, it just took a little more effort.
You want to read it, Scott? You could read it like twice.
I'll probably throw it. I got some stuff to do.
You might throw it at me, huh?
I got lots of stuff for Scott today.
The only other thing I think that we read.
Zach. Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, we can let him go. I was going to say the only other thing we read together was Gideon Falls, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, and see, you got to give that one to me because I do like Gideon Falls. I read Adventure Man Volume 1.
By Fraction and Dodson.
Yeah, the end and everything after.
Oh, nice.
It's very, what did you say? Sky Captain, World of Tomorrow, Rocket Man, you know, some of that type of stuff. So, you know, you kind of got this weird, what would you say, World's Fair type of time, you know, line of things, you know, and stuff. But the basic idea is that there's some type of, you know, you're in this world where they're telling a story of Adventure Man where he was the big savior of their universe, you know, or whatever else. And he's got his little team of people and they go up against some big bad, and then it just kind of ends there where it seems like Adventure Man's about to get killed. So, and then after that, you know, things happen in which something happens with our heroine here, and she ends up, what would you say, kind of inheriting, I guess, the Adventure Man
persona,
yeah, and things, and now can kind of see like this hidden world behind her own that has a lot of the Adventure Man stuff, I guess, in a way, and things. And so she's trying to piece this out. And so really this being the volume 1, you know, it's kind of like this introduction of everybody, of all the characters, and building people up and understanding different things that are in there. There's not a whole lot of real conflict at this point, although you understand maybe who the bad guys are. We turn towards the end where the bad guy you think is like the big bad kind of gets taken out by somebody, one of their own henchmen type of thing, to kind of start taking over things, which I thought was interesting. But it's kind of like basically this really felt like it's trying to put a lot of pieces in place for something to carry on.
Yeah, it's
here.
a lot of setup.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The art though is really cool. It's really good.
The art's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. There's some things that are done in there are just amazing. I found myself, just staring at, looking at, there and stuff. And the writing's not bad by any means. It's at this point it was pretty quick. Type of read and everything. It just I don't know.
I think what I wanted was a little more meat on the bone.
Yeah, I was gonna go there. I mean, there's something
it's great
not
setup
quite.
and it's very good art, but yeah, I was looking for something just a little bit more.
I think. See, so.
But.
And it just seems like while there's great setup, I don't know how original they can really do with what they're trying to do, I guess, in some respects.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it seems like it's going to be a superhero versus something else, but just in a different, almost Shazam type of scenario,
Sure.
type stuff. So, but it's still a fun ride. I don't want to discount it by any means, but you're right. There is something just not quite like, oh wow, this is good, but it's not in that next level of wow, this is so.
And I think I had really high expectations because I love the art and I like Fraction normally, and I generally think he does interesting stuff. So.
Yeah.
But, and a Fraction is starting to be kind of like Grant Morrison. Like, I like him, but I don't appreciate him as much as a lot of other people do. You know what I mean? Like, he's always kind of just almost there for me.
Right. Well, I mean, I've been away from him for a while because he
doesn't
been doing
do a
that
lot of
Sex
stuff,
Criminals. Is he do that with Chip?
Yeah, I think him and Chip. Yeah, which I haven't been reading. Which I read the first issue, which I thought was really good.
Right. I read the first few and then I stopped because I really liked the concept. But so I mean, what the point I'm getting at is that's the only thing that he's really been doing, I think, and I haven't been reading it, so I haven't read Matt Fraction for probably several years.
He's not very prolific.
No, and I think he went away and was doing TV stuff or movie stuff.
Him and his wife had a deal or something.
They were doing. He was doing stuff other than comic books. But the only thing I was going to say is I know that this book because I bought the single issues, and I haven't. There's 4 in that. Is that right?
I think so.
Probably so. It didn't seem like it.
Oh, it didn't. But anyway, I mean, I haven't read them all because it came out right before COVID, and then I think it got stuck in that COVID glut. And then it started coming out afterwards, and maybe he's just doing the first story arc just to kind of set everything up. I'm trying to give Matt Fraction the benefit of the doubt that it's not just fluff and candy, although that's what you want to do when you've got Terry Dodson. I mean, because who does fluff and candy like popcorn better than Terry Dodson? Because this thing is set up beautifully for Terry Dodson for artwork. The artwork is amazing.
It really is.
And so, I mean... Maybe their plan was, hey, we'll throw out 4 issues and we'll just kind of move really, really slow burn with this thing. But I don't know because I haven't read them all. I have them, I just haven't read them all. I've read the first 2.
Yeah, and I don't know that's necessarily a slow
I don't
burn,
know.
Especially because of just these kind of quick 4-issue type things. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, something feels like there's it just really hasn't totally pulled me in, though, to say, oh, wow, this is just really great.
Yeah.
But it sure is fun to look at.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Who's next?
I don't know. You look like you got a ton of shit.
What do you think of Gideon Falls?
Let's do Gideon Falls.
Do you like how it wrapped up?
Did you like the ending?
Satisfied?
Someone said they didn't think the ending really stuck it. And I was like, I thought it did. I thought it all came together and ended pretty cool.
It's one of those things where...
I mean, it makes...
It ends, but it doesn't really end.
Yeah, it does. I thought it did. I mean, it's very timey-wimey, I guess.
Maybe I don't understand, and maybe we can't really talk about it until
you need to read it all over again.
No, yeah, maybe. Not really, but I mean, it's like, it ends, but the ending...
It's a new beginning.
Is a new beginning.
Okay.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's a...
Sure.
No, I get it. I got it.
Sure.
I didn't... But I mean, it's hard to talk and dance around shit without ruining it for Scott. I mean...
What are you going to ask?
or anybody else, I guess.
But yeah, no,
I don't know.
So did you like the ending or you did not like
It was fine. Like,
Okay.
it didn't blow me away. I didn't go, oh my god, that's like
Yeah,
the
I
coolest
agree.
shit he's ever done.
No, I agree.
But I wasn't like disappointed with it. I mean,
thought
it made
tied everything
sense
up,
and it tied
made
everything up.
sense,
It made
and
sense. It
worked.
tied everything up.
Yeah.
I didn't go, oh my god, this is like I said, this is not the greatest.
I don't know what kind of endings do that anymore, though. I'm kind
Yeah.
of curious. I mean, it's hard to really stick an ending.
I can get to that. I mean,
Maybe East to West.
I was going to talk about the same type of thing with East and West. I mean, everything you're saying here almost sounds like what I would say to East of West.
is that mine? Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
it
that's
is
a
yours.
20, because I read 20 through 27.
It
Which-
is at 27?
Which, why do we have to do a double issue and charge us twice as much for the 27? Why don't
Because
we
you
just
got
go to
Lemire's
28?
artwork on the front.
I don't know.
I
Mine
picked-
doesn't have that.
I picked the Lemire
Oh,
variant
okay.
cover, I guess.
I'm not sure why they did that.
But, like, why do we have a double-sized issue for $8? I guess it doesn't matter. I'm paying $8 whether I get 27 and
Yeah,
28.
it doesn't matter.
It
but
just
yeah.
seemed weird. Like, why
did
would we
seem
just
weird.
throw out a double issue?
Now that I'm
really
having them
quick?
bound, I'm like putting my bind books together, and I got this really thick one at the end. I'm like, this is kind of awkward.
Right? It just seemed weird to me. It's like, why?
Because that's the style right now.
What he said. I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me either. I don't know why they did that.
I don't know. It just kind of threw me. I'm like,
I totally agree with what
But-
you're saying.
no, I mean, yes. It was an
Maybe he felt like there wasn't a good stopping point to make 2 issues out of.
Yeah, that might be it. I don't remember. I didn't slip it right in the middle, so I mean, I didn't pay attention.
I read Maids by Katie Skelly.
Okay,
So,
never heard of it.
right, Fantagraphics. It's about these French maids back, I don't know, like mid 1800s, early 1900s. I don't know. Anyway, there's these 2 sisters.
It's a time that's not now.
These 2 sisters, and one of them is a maid for this rich family. And she convinces them to hire her sister so they can work together, and her sister
Parasite.
can work too, so they hire 2 maids. And the sisters have an interesting relationship. I mean, they're pretty close. I guess they kind of come from kind of like a broken home. I think they end up in like a orphanage or a nunnery or something, or some kind of. I think they got shipped off to like the nunnery orphanage or whatever they did back in the day.
Nunnery orphanage. Okay.
Anyway, so they're basically maids to
Slice
this
of life.
rich family, and the rich family, the main matriarch of the family is kind of a total shrew or whatever, and there's a daughter who's kind of like spoiled and is trying to get married and, is completely oblivious to, real life or whatever, And they treat these maids pretty bad, but, it's okay. They have somewhere to live and they're paying them and blah, blah, blah. But
In the end, the maids kill the whole
the
family.
younger sister, she's got some issues. Like, she's not all there. Like, she's a little...
The younger sister maid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's only one daughter that actually lives there. Like, the maids are the 2 sisters.
Okay,
that live
okay.
there. And so,
I don't know, but on the very first page, you get like an eyeball just laying
yeah.
on the floor.
So anyway, things
I'm
take
intrigued.
a turn, and they go kind of crazy, and they murder basically the family or whatever.
Oh, I was see, there you go.
And so, but it's based on a true story.
It's
Like,
1930.
this actually happened.
It's 1931.
1931, yeah. In France.
Le Mans.
Yeah. So, but, and then there's, and I looked up on Wikipedia afterwards.
Here's your
and-
effing porridge,
And
bastard.
like anything in like the 1930s, they don't have like really good records, and they didn't really understand mental illness or whatever, So like these people died in like the insane asylum. I think one of them actually got out, but the one sister couldn't deal with being away from the other sister and basically like died like in the insane asylum or whatever. Maybe she killed herself. I can't remember exactly. They don't get into any of that though. This is just about the crime.
The crime.
They don't
Okay.
talking about the after effects. But then there's like they kind of have this weird relationship that maybe they're lovers too. Like there's like some weird thing there, which looking on Wikipedia that was kind of speculated, but was never for sure. It's bizarre. But yeah, Katie Skelly does it, and she's got this very simple kind of
It's
weird
Kill Bill 2.
style, and so it's
Snatch
just
the eyeball out.
it's a really strange, interesting style for the story. So it's cool. I liked it. It's very artsy, very different, but
I've never heard of this person, Katie Skelly.
back when Jim Rugg used to do his podcast, what was it called? Like, Tell Me Something I
Tell
Don't
Me
Know.
Something I
I
Don't
think he
Know.
interviewed her once.
Okay.
She did like some weird indie comic called like Nurse or something.
Okay.
And so she got on my radar, and then I saw this was Fantagraphics, and
Yeah.
She doing a book. I don't know. I just wanted to try something kind of.
No, that's cool.
No, yeah, so that's why I bought it. I've heard of her basically because of Jim Rugg. And
I had just never heard of her. That's why I was saying.
Yeah, and so I don't think she's well known. I mean, she's kind of an indie comic artist.
Right.
You know, cool OGN.
Right.
Give it a whirl.
No, it's kind of weird. I've been listening to. This is kind of like a deep conversation,
Well, it's not
but.
good.
Wow.
So I've been listening to like a lot of the kayfabe, and I started at the beginning, so I'm listening to like the Wizards.
The Wizard stuff.
And then I got into like they did the first year of Wizard, and then they did the comics journal or whatever the hell, the Gary Groth, the Fantagraphics publication. Sure. And they had all these interviews, and they always talk about like especially Jim Rugg. He's like, you know, when I was a kid, like Image was just coming out, and like I was reading Ghost Rider, and I was reading Image, and I was like following Todd McFarlane, and he's like, but then I grew out of that stuff, and I found like Dan Clowes, and I found like, you know, like all this shit that I've never really heard of, like Raw comics and all these anthologies and like all this other stuff where it feels like, you know, they made a leap. And then like I listened, they did an interview with Gary Groth like last year.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that much about Gary Groth. You know what I mean? Like I've never really heard of him. I've never really talked to, like I don't know what his philosophies are. And like Gary Groth is like, I just don't understand, like, you know, who's buying this monthly, you know, rag presentation where, you know, you get a 20-page story of Iron Man. Like, who's buying this? You know what I mean? But I mean, I've learned and found out that Gary Groth, like from very early on, is like, well, you know, I'm very hooty, high-toity, like,
Hoity-toity,
you know,
comics are
hoity-toity,
art.
like comics are art, and you know, X-Men suck ass, and you need to be reading whatever, you know. So there's like, but I feel like I never grew out of, I never made a leap. Like I never grew out of like Batman. I mean, yeah, I've read other things. Like I've read a little bit of, you know, like Jeff Lemire, like the Essex County, and you know, I've read some stuff that's not necessarily Marvel. But I never made that leap to where I'm like, oh, I'm never going to read a Captain America comic. Because I think, like, you can be both. Like, you can change your taste, but you could still go back and read, like, X-Men for fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I stopped reading superhero stuff for a while, and then I got back into it because it was kind of fun and nostalgia. And I remember Ultimate Spider-Man was a book that kind of pulled me back into superheroes, and I started reading kind of superheroes again. Because then I got to a point in my life where I can enjoy that stuff for what it is, but I can also enjoy stuff that... It's kind of like when you watch like movies that are Oscar nominated compared to like, you know, big blockbusters, you know?
Right.
I can enjoy both. Like, I appreciate higher art, and I appreciate just popcorn fun, you know?
Yeah.
I like to have a steady diet of both because I enjoy both of them.
Right.
Gary Groth, he only wants high art. He doesn't want popcorn, and that's fine.
Right.
But I still enjoy both.
Exactly. Know? And so, I mean, I've just been thinking. I'm like I listen to a lot of the kayfabe stuff, and I'm like, well, I've read some Charles Burns stuff just because you've had it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like that stuff. And it's like, you know, I've never really read. Is Klaus the guy that did like Ghost World?
Yeah, he did Ghost World, Velvet Glove, Cast in Iron.
Do you have Velvet Glove, Cast in Iron?
I read it from like the library.
I really want to read it because it sounds very David Lynchian.
Oh, yeah,
it sounds like I think I would really like it. But that's what I'm saying. Like I never got into Hate. Like I never got into 8-Ball. Like I never got into any of that crap. Not crap, but I just never got into that stuff. And so now it's like I almost feel like the way they talk about it and the way that they love it, like there's something to it. You know what I mean? So like I'm finally, I guess, trying to make that. I don't know. It almost feels like you've got, you know, your Iron Man, X-Men, Superman here, and then you've got your Dan Clowes over here, and so like it's either
then I hear
or.
Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg say they've never read Gru, and I'm like, what the fuck planet are you on?
What the fuck planet are you on?
So you know, I mean, everybody's got their own journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like,
but
I mean, I kind of went to like they love Love and Rockets, you know?
Right?
I've gone and tried to read that stuff, and I've read the first like 2 chunks of Love and Rockets by each brother.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do much for me. Like I'm sure it was totally innovative when it came out. It ain't that innovative if you go back and read it now. You know
Well,
what I mean?
nothing really.
And it's like, I took a different journey. I went to like The Crow was cool, and I went to like Cerebus and like Bone and to like Thieves and Kings, all those indie books, you know?
Right, and see, I read a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, that was kind of my journey. And I read Velvet Glove, Cast in Iron back in college. I read Mouse, you know, I read that stuff, and I enjoyed it. What's that?
Well, yeah, I'm like thinking like
Stray Bullets.
Yeah,
Stray Bullets is like kind of like that, you know. And
Sure. So I mean, I took my own journey, and then Image and Vertigo just started putting out really cool stuff that kind of felt like it was like popcorn and good. You know what I mean? Like it was like 100 Bullets. I mean, and Why the Last Man and Preacher. It's like
Vertigo.
I wouldn't call it high art, but it's not superhero comics either. It's something in between. And then I got really hooked on that stuff because it really spoke to me of that age. Like at that age, I kind of wanted something that was a little more of a self-contained story, had an ending, but yet still had some fun and kind of, you know.
Well, I do think that DC with their Vertigo imprint was trying to do something.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'll get to that.
Yeah, it was trying to do something a little different. You know, I mean, it was playing like almost in that tier somewhere between the high art indie type stuff and your superhero. They were playing somewhere in that middle with the Vertigo going. Let's make something that's a little bit more adult. Yeah. You know, it makes you think a little bit, but maybe it doesn't. We don't need it to be totally out of the commercial realm either. So.
Well, that's kind of what festered my thing on that post today, because I'm just curious, like, and I worded it wrong because like perennial is what he said, and it means a different thing than what I was trying to get across. Yeah. Like I know that I'm not looking for. I know that Marvel's is always going to be in print. Like that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is what. So like you always hear about. The best Watchmen is like the greatest comic book ever, and it's like I can give Watchmen to if anybody wants to read a comic and they don't read comics, I give them Watchmen. You know what I mean? And but I mean that's what you always hear. You always hear about like 19.
I learned more.
But you always hear about 1986 because you hear about Watchmen, you hear about Dark Knight Returns, you hear about Daredevil.
But I think those books came out right, and they were totally different. They were superhero books. Right. But they were totally different than what other superhero books were. So it kind of like jarred everybody, right?
Yes.
But it's like...
But that was in the what?
That was in the 80s.
The 80s.
But now, all the stuff we read is so much more sophisticated. No one's really doing anything that jarring anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's not a lot of... Like, it was innovative, but there isn't a lot of innovation.
But I'm not even really looking for like jarring or innovative. I'm looking for... I'm so tired of, I grew up in the 80s, right? And, like, I didn't read Watchmen as it came out. I read Dark Knight shortly after it came out. But it's like, Alan Moore and The Watchmen is the greatest comic ever. And then Dark Knight came out, and that's the greatest comic ever. But I don't know that I've heard anything past 86.
Because once those comics came out and they proved that you could do those kind of stories, then a lot of those stories came out and they weren't unique anymore, and so there's just a lot of good stuff.
So my question is like, what is the Watchmen?
There isn't one.
What is the Watchmen of the 90s? What is the Watchmen of the 2000s?
There isn't, because no one innovated like
the 2010s?
That. Nobody did anything that was that innovative, jarring, revolutionary at the time.
Right.
Well,
so there is no Watchmen of the 90s.
I don't need it to be a Watchmen, but like, what's the greatest book that came out of
But I don't even know that
the
Watchmen
90s.
Is the greatest book. It was just the most innovative book.
What's the greatest book that came out of the 2000s? What's the greatest stories that came out of the 2010s? Like, what does everybody hold up in high regard? Like, that's what I mean.
Sandman end up being?
It was the 90s.
That was mine. It was late 80s, mid 90s.
It was late 80s, mid 90s.
Yeah, it really hit its stride in the 90s.
It was in there. So was Preacher, although...
Right, Preacher was like late 90s.
That's right. I mean, they were both strong type stuff.
Bone was 90s.
Bone was 90s. Sin City was 90s.
But like Bone is a really good...
Hellboy spanned, but it started in the 90s.
But like Bone is a great comic, but it's not innovative. It doesn't do anything unique.
Right.
It's just really well done.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, for me, it's like the way I look at it, I'm like, well, what's good enough that I enjoy that I'm going to buy, that I have the single issues of, that I'm going to buy in a hardcover collection, or I'm going to buy 5 volumes of 100 Bullets, or I'm going to buy 5 volumes hardcover of Preacher, or I'm going to buy the absolute version of this. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like that's what I guess I would like. I have all the library editions of Hellboy. I have the Sin City library. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's the stuff that I'm going to spend my money on?
Well-
That's like that I have a great presentation that I want to sit down and read. You know what I mean? Like for me, that's what it is. But
I guess from an innovative standpoint, at least especially in the '90s, where it seemed to be a lot more of the creator-owned type of thing. That's where a lot of that started going. So I mean, if you really want to look at something that was probably more innovative in the '90s, as you're probably looking at almost a Spawn, which in itself literally wasn't that innovative, but or Savage Dragon or something where they tried to take something and make it really their own and keep it going.
right, but
I think Sandman in a lot of ways is very innovative for its time because of the fact that you were taking somebody that was more of a novelesque type of person, bring them into this comic world where they could try to tell a story that was a bit more, I don't really want to say brainy, but maybe more literary, type of stuff than what they had before, which opened up, I think, to a lot of other good writers. I mean, that's what I see is that, especially in the late '80s, early '90s, artists were the thing. Man, they owned the world in the comic world, and stuff. But I think with Sandman and some of those others, it started tilting that towards these other writers then, which, you could say then that some of that stuff in the '90s was maybe more influential for some of the writers that we have today, maybe. I don't know.
Well, the thing that kind of struck me really was, I mean, I loved All-Star Superman. Like, I loved the shit out of it. Like, it was awesome art. It was good writing. It was a cool story. But it surprised me how many people... It surprised me how many people were on the
People
forum
love All-Star
that are
Superman.
like...
God, it brought
mentioned
everything
that.
together, though. I mean, it was great art and a solid Superman story.
Yeah, it's really good.
But anyway, that's just kind of where that all came from. Yeah. But and so like I'm really not bagging that. I mean, like my new order, like I ordered a couple things from Fantagraphics, like some stuff to kind of.
I didn't think you were bagging
to kind of expand and like I want to like read some Klaus stuff that I've never read. Like I want to read, Peter Bagg like hate stuff. Like I want to check that stuff out. It may not be for me, but at least it's something different. It's
you like Klaus. Klaus tells pretty good stories. I mean, you liked Chris Ware. He wrote Rusty Brown.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
same kind of crap.
So, anyway, sorry for that huge giant.
Real quick.
Sidetrack.
Boom.
Yeah, spent at least 10 minutes on this.
Well, have you read it all? You haven't.
No, I haven't.
So that's why I can't.
East of
do
West.
That. East of West.
Actually,
Volume 3.
I want to borrow Drew's all 3 volumes and reread the whole thing.
There
but
you
it's
go.
going to be a while because I don't remember a lot of it.
I felt the same way, but then I jumped in. I felt like I jumped right in.
I agree with you because when he gave me this big ass book, I thought, oh shit,
Should I go back
do
and
I
read the
really
first?
remember
Maybe. Maybe
do
I'll
I
just-
need to those? And I jumped right in, and it's
It's amazing.
yeah. I mean, little things come back. You're right.
Little things don't come back to me.
Reading the first 2 might have got me a little bit more, but it flows so well, and everything else. It's like that friend you haven't talked to in a long time, where you're just like, oh wow, okay, I'm catching up here.
Do you
Whatever
remember
else.
it? And will you remember it? Then just let me take it home, and I'll read it for next podcast.
Oh yeah,
and
I'll
we can
remember
talk
this.
about it.
I mean, type of thing. It was very enjoyable. Okay.
Okay,
So
did you
talk
like
about it.
Let me.
don't spoil it.
Exactly. I'll talk about it and
And I'll
not
go to
spoil
the
it. Very
bathroom.
similar to the Gideon Falls, in which, for me, East of West, the journey was the thing with it.
Sure.
It was fun. It was unique. It did some crazy cool stuff. And everything else. I don't know that I would have cared how it ended, just because I had such an enjoyable, fun time going through it. Having said that, I'm satisfied with the ending, although I feel like some things are a little bit of a cop out. Maybe I don't feel like it maybe hit the overall grandness that I wanted.
Because it's such a
an ending.
grand story.
Exactly.
Well, I thought you tried to do that by saying, "Oh, it's about family and love."
Yes.
And so I thought if you're gonna try and end something like that, at least try to give like a positive.
You're probably right. His overall last pages, no problem with it all. I think it is good, type thing. So where everything ends up and things, maybe we could talk about it a little bit. There's some little things I question, but so you're right. Those last couple of pages, great. I thought it was
Okay.
good. Everything else. I think my problem was somewhere there in the middle as it's leading up to this
Maybe it could have been
grand.
a little grander.
That's
like,
right. I
finale
mean,
battle.
that's right. At the end, for something that was supposed to be the apocalypse of the world.
Yeah, it was just a couple guys in a circle like shooting each other.
That's right. You're kind of like, that's the apocalypse, you know.
Yeah, I
And
guess-
so
I can see that. You could have. I mean, you're looking for like a big giant. These nations are collapsing.
that's right. Like all these nations and
If
everything
it was
else.
a Hollywood movie, you'd have some giant.
That's
CGI
right.
battle.
And at the end of it, it's like two freaking
yeah,
little
I can see that.
bandy, you know.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
kind of like, really, you know, and especially with what the wolf, kind of talks about afterward, type things
Yeah.
about this being the ending for a new beginning. I was like, well, yeah. Why you had two, So, but that was probably my only real misstep there.
I can see that.
But still, with it, it's a fun ride.
Oh yeah.
It's good. Maybe he keeps his little questions and little, what would you say with it? Keeping you guessing. These little
Sure.
threads. That he just, shows in front of you. Maybe he lasted that a little too long in some respects as is flowing along. But I love the interactions between Death and his son, and
Those are
Balloon,
great, yeah.
and everything. The writing on this thing is just so fantastic, and the art is great as well. I mean, it's another one of those things where everything came together. I mean, you talk about something that there's so much stuff out there. It's so hard for something to stay apart from the rest. And I don't know, how probably in the comic world this is, very well appreciated and stuff. But overall, as a real commercial type thing, I don't know that there's a lot of people that know of the East of West, type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not something that then necessarily is transcending everything, which is a bit of a shame because this, if anything, I think this could in some ways. But
This could be the next Game of Thrones.
that's right. You almost need to have this
They were
as
trying to develop it
a
for,
show
like,
of
TV
some
or
type.
something.
yeah.
It had
Like
like
with
someone bought the
everything.
rights. And they
Yeah.
were trying to develop it.
And there's possibilities that they could do there, but it's just, I don't know. A lot of it too, I'm probably a little biased because I like things that make me wonder, that have that certain mystery to it, that have a certain
and
mythological feel, and stuff too, with it, and with really good characters, and taking those things that of in some respect. I guess in this case, it's like the four horsemen of the apocalypse. That's been thrown around in different ways. It pops up in this as a pretty heavily influence of things, and how he takes it and uses it is just so unique to me anyway, and amazing. I like things like that where you take something of a nostalgia feel and you turn it on its head, type stuff. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it wrapped up.
yeah.
Overall, it wrapped up good enough for me.
Sure.
But
I get what
the
you're saying.
overall story was so enjoyable. I'd have to say that it's still, it continues on with this. So yeah, definitely you can jump right into
Yeah,
this.
I'll
and,
take it. Well, I'll read it and then.
and
can
read
have
it.
a
And it
giant
really,
powwow.
I mean, it's got it. I don't know. Maybe because of the fact that I enjoy it, it did take me a little while to read it because you're talking a shit ton of issues there. But
Yeah, it's
part
like
of it is just
15.
the overall. When I have something that I really enjoy like that, I'll spend a little bit more with it to really look at the art that they're doing and other things too. And so I probably maybe spent a little bit longer on something like that than I would with some other stuff, as well. You want to talk about Swamp Thing? I would love for you to talk about Swamp Thing.
I do, but I'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
First, I want to talk about. All I wanted. So this is a book called Lost Soldiers. It was by Alice Coate. I don't know. It was a 5-issue series. The only reason I wanted to bring this is because they have
Because
quotes.
you brought like one issue.
Yeah, they have
that-
quotes at the beginning, and I just want to play a game. Let's see if you can figure this out. Mystery Man. We've met before, haven't we? Fred Madison. I don't think so. Where was it you think we met? Mystery Man. At your house. Don't you remember? Fred Madison. No, I don't. Are you sure? Mystery Man. Of course. As a matter of fact, I'm there right now.
Dun-dun-dun.
David Lynch, Lost Highway. Don't you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely. No.
Okay.
I've never even seen Lost Highway. So
Really? Oh well,
I'm not as much of a David Lynch fan though as you.
I'm like
I'm
reading
not
this.
so.
Like I get like
You're
halfway
not?
through
I
it.
always thought you were.
I get like halfway through it, and I'm like, dude, this is from freaking Lost Highway. It's like one of the greatest quotes of the movie. And then I get to the end, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Lost Highway. But anyway, this was like a 5-issue series. Lost Soldiers, real quick. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't the greatest. It was.
I just figuring you're going to tell us a story that somehow I got the third issue
No,
out of 5.
I had them all.
I had no idea where it came from.
I have all of them, and I read all of them. I just didn't even really want to review it, but I thought it was cool that he pulled a quote from
David Lynch.
from Lost Highway, and I wanted to know if Drew would recognize the quote right away.
You would think that
I've
he
only seen that
would.
movie that one time. In the
Since
theater.
he's such a big David Lynch
Have you
fan.
ever watched that movie again?
I think once or twice.
I mean, I saw it like 20 years ago in the theater.
All right, so these last 3 will go really quick.
Good, because
I read Big Girls 1 through 5.
is that fun?
It's by Jason Howard. He does the writing and the artwork on it.
Really?
It's cool. I like Jason Howard artwork.
Yeah.
And this is a cool story. Basically, it's
Big Girls.
yes. There's been like some kind of a bomb dropped or whatever, and children are being born, and they grow up to be giants.
Huge.
They're
Yeah.
huge, and for some reason, the girls seem to handle the transition better than the boys, because at some
Isn't
point
that how everything goes?
the girls grow up to be normal big people, but the boys turn into like these weird freaky, like they transform into like big monsters, like
Yeah.
big giant.
Are all the kids doing this?
So I was going to say, I'm
Not all of them. There's only a few people in the population, and as far as this story goes, there's only like one. It's like Dread. It's like the one town. There's like one town, one civilization, one community that made it. It's a fairly big community, but there's only one thing that they've shown. And so there's it starts out, and there's like this main commander guy or whatever that takes it over. So there's like 3 or 4 of these big girls, and they defend the city against these, because every once in a while one of the crazy monsters, one of the sand people will run towards the town and try to like eat it and take over, because they have to eat and they don't have any food, so they'll attack the city and they'll try to eat people or whatever. And so there's like 3 or 4 of these big girls, and they're kind of like the defense, like they're the army. And then it kind of goes into there's a lot more of these attacks that have been happening, and the main guy that runs like the city, that controls the girls, that kind of protects the city, like he had a partner before, and she wanted to do something, and they had a division where they parted ways, and so now she's like the crazy person, and she's actually figured out a way to like create these monsters, and so she's like sending waves and waves of these monsters at the city to try to get back at the guy and take over the city, kind of thing. So I don't know, it's cool. I like Jason Howard. The artwork's really good. The story's different, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of it's got as I explained it, it's got a lot of like, I just want to keep calling them kaiju monsters or whatever, you know, because it's kind of what it is. But it pulls a lot from a lot of different genres, but he kind of twists it to where it's new and it's refreshing, and I want to read more of it. You know what I mean? Like
You won't, because it's only 5 issues.
Is it? No, it doesn't end.
It doesn't?
Well, I think he's doing like 5 arcs, like, but he keeps talking about, I'm going to keep doing this and I want to keep doing this. It doesn't end, so I think it's going to keep going, but I don't know. I think I'm still ordering issues or whatever, but anyway. He has like a little letters page at the end, and I've never really known a lot about Jason. I keep wanting to call him Josh Howard, but Jason Howard.
Guy.
I know. But he's a really big comic book guy. Like he talks about, I remember, like, he's like Kirkman. I remember when you used to be able to walk in a comic book store and you pull this off the shelf and you didn't know what it was. And I mean, he loves comics and he loves to make comics. You know what I mean? So it's got a cool feel, but it's good. I think you guys would probably like it if you read it. It's good.
What do you got, Drew? Anything else you want to talk about?
Let's let Don get through his stuff. See how long it takes.
Oh, Jesus. So why do you want me to talk about Swamp Thing?
I just wondered what you thought of it. I mean, I've always, I personally have
Really?
never,
Do you think it is?
I do.
I've never read Swamp Thing, but I do like Alan
So
Moore.
wordy.
Huh? What?
I said so wordy.
Is
Not really.
it could
It's
be.
okay. I'm not a big Swamp Thing guy either. I've never really read Swamp Thing or been a Swamp Thing fan.
It's some of Alan Moore's early work, though, with
It's
in the
very
comic
early work.
world, isn't
And
it? Is it? Okay.
and when I started reading the first volume, I'm like, holy shit, Alan Moore's a writer. Like, this is good shit. Like, I like it. It's really, really good. And
Now, did it start in the? Was it pretty much in the 80s, or was it on the early 80s? I mean, when
this
he-
is late. This
Okay.
is before Watchmen. So
Yeah.
it's 83, 84.
that's what I wondered. I didn't
So-
know when. I guess I was wondering when Alan. My question is, when did Alan Moore really break into writing for comics? I mean, I'm assuming this is his early work.
It's
Was
probably
it the late 70s?
83.
Was it the early 80s?
It was
It sounds
early.
like it's probably
was
early
early 80s.
80s there.
So the history of Swamp Thing is like it was created by Lynn Wayne. And
Oh
Bernie
yeah, it's been
Wrightson.
around there, but Alan Moore took it to a different
Well,
level with the whole.
January
yeah.
84.
They brought it
Where
back.
where basically Alan Moore took him into like being an Earth Elemental. Which
Yeah,
was,
this is like the second or third volume of Swamp Thing, I think. And Alan Moore takes over with issue 19, I believe, of the
Okay.
ongoing series.
okay.
And then he writes it to, I don't know, I think he only gets
60.
to like 50 or 60. And then, but I like it. It's really good. Like, I started reading, and I was thinking about like one of the things you had said before, maybe like, or we read somewhere or something where it was like, you know, if DC had pissed off Alan Moore,
What he could have done.
what he could have done. I'm like, holy shit. Like, this stuff's great. Like I said, I mean, I read the first issue and I'm like, I'm not a Swamp Thing fan, but I'm an
Well, the
Alan Moore
first issue was
Swamp Thing
cool because he
fan.
totally like flipped it around.
Well, yeah,
that
and
was
then-
totally the first time anybody had really done that.
Right.
And so that was very innovative, and I think that's what hooked me the first time I read this, like back in the 90s or whatever.
But I mean, that's what he's doing. He's deconstructing it.
Yeah,
and
it's totally
He's
deconstructing.
basically breaking everything down, rebuilding it, literally with Swamp Thing, rebuilding it
But
the way
then it
he
just
wants to
becomes
rebuild
like
it.
a flavor of the week type of story. Kinda.
Not. I mean, so I'm only up to like, I've only read like 20 issues. Like, each book only has like 6 or 7 issues
Oh,
in
wow.
it. So I mean, I just started reading volume 4, and I think it starts at like, well, I mean, I could look at 3 and see where it ends, but I mean, there's not a lot. There's like 7 issues in each one of these books.
That's weird.
Yeah, this goes to 42. So I have 19 to 42 is all I've read.
Oh, okay.
You know, it had I don't know if you remember stories or whatever, but I mean, the nuke face, you know, where they have the
Yeah.
waste. I mean, it's a lot of like commentary.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it is commentary, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like he introduces the green or whatever, and he flips it to where, you know, Alec Holland died, and the Swamp Thing is just holding on to the memory of Alec Holland rather than Alec Holland being Swamp Thing.
Correct.
Like, Alec Holland is dead,
Yeah.
and the Swamp Thing is something completely, totally different.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure because this is even this gets sucked into Vertigo, so this is pre-Vertigo.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he starts,
Sure.
but you know it had to have been like groundbreaking, like
Oh, yeah.
different,
It was
like
very
at the time.
innovative at the time.
Like, it was very good, and I think it holds up. Like, I'm enjoying
Yeah, I
it.
think it's solid.
Um,
I think everybody talks about it. It's Alan Moore. It just puts on this high expectation. I mean, it's good. It's just, I thought some of the stories were a little.
Well, yeah, I
Tired.
mean, you're gonna have a couple that are tired, and I mean, it's interesting to read like you can't do 20 brilliant. I mean, you could, I guess, but I mean,
It hits a lot for me like Sandman. Like, it just gets kind of literary and just kind of
Right.
drags.
But
and there's just
when
Tolkien.
when John Totalban and Stephen Bissett do the artwork,
Yeah, I mean, they're great.
it's freaking amazing.
The art's amazing.
And you can see, like, because it even gets into that, because, like, Stephen Bissett does, like, one of the introductions or whatever, you know, and he's just talking about how, like, he's fucking killing himself. trying to do a monthly book. Like him and Totalbin are like just fucking killing, because Totalbin's the inker and Bissette's the penciler.
Yeah.
And I mean, like some of those pages are just like unbelievably detailed, you know. And you can tell because there's fill-in artists that come in on it, you know, that'll fill in, and Stephen Bissette might not do the pencils, but Total Bond does the inking, and then there's somewhere Bissette does the pencils and like somebody else does the inking or whatever, you know. And it's like it's just not there. Like it fires on all three cylinders when you have Alan Moore, Stephen Bissette, and Totalbin working together. Yeah. If you take out one of those out of those issues,
it's rough.
Well, Alan Moore not really, but one of the two pencilers, like it's just not the same. Because I mean, and you can kind of see like where Totalbin tries to throw like Bissette stuff in there, or is it Bissette? You know what I mean? Or is it Totalbin doing it to Bissette? Like, however, but it's just different. Like you can definitely tell. And obviously, my favorite issues are when those two are together. I mean, Rick Veitch comes on and does some of that stuff, and it's okay. But it's more of a if Totalbin is inking him, I mean, it's more of a half-assed Stephen Bissette. It's not really a Rick Veitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's weird. This one has Totalbin and Bissette on the cover, but then it's by Sean McManus.
Yeah, I know.
That's a bit of
I think maybe they just did the cover, is what I'm assuming.
Well, no, but the way they have it down there makes it sound like...
No, I understand.
Okay.
But, and that was the other thing, McManus. Like, I love McManus.
Yeah.
And his artwork is cool.
Yeah, it
but,
is.
But it's good. I think if you like Sandman, which I know you do,
this is very Sandman.
you would love this stuff, I think. And if you want to borrow them, you're more than welcome to, because I'm done with the first three. There's 6 of them that I have that are the Alan Moores. But like I said, they're only like, they read fairly quickly because they're only like 200 pages, and they're only like 6 or 7 issues a piece.
200 pages.
They read fast. They read quickly. But if you're interested, you're more than welcome to
see what he's got for me. But
I mean, you could
keep that in mind.
take the first one, or anytime.
Gosh,
if you want to read them, Scott.
You have to take Copra if you don't want it.
I'll check it out. Firepower.
Do Starman.
Starman. All right. Well, I finished Starman. This is a book that really ends.
Oh, Snedgeberg. It doesn't.
Snaberg.
That's the guy.
Snaberg.
He's no Tony Harris.
So I read
He kinda grows on you, though.
But
not much.
he does.
He's
I mean,
weird.
Obviously, this book loses a little something when Harris goes away.
Obviously. And they spend 20 issues in space.
Yeah, but it all ties together. I mean,
Did you like the space stuff?
it was okay. I mean,
Kind of got old after a while.
I mean, of course, he did that thing where he tied it into Krypton and he created Superman, and like he gave, is it Jor-El? Like he gave Jor-El the map to Earth.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so like then it all becomes this weird thing, and then like later on, like he meets Superman, and he's like, "Oh, you met my dad? Like, what was he like?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I met him when he was like 17, and he was like the reckless Luke Skywalker guy, like out on Tatooine, like wishing about, you know, whatever, like the renegade guy."
Yeah. Is
So
that 5 or 6?
this is 5.
Okay.
I read 5 and 6, which finished it out. I liked it. I mean, I like the way that Robinson like did the writing of it. You can tell that he really, because he did that Golden Age book, you can tell that he really has affinity for it. Like he really cares about the characters. He likes the stuff that he's writing. You know, you really go through a journey with him, like in the back, because he writes like 4, 5, 6 pages of like his life and like what he was going through, and like it's kind of funny because I think it was either volume 4 or 5. John, oh my God, Lucas did a fill-in issue or 2, and then he also did like the Mist, like a mini series or whatever. So there's John Lucas art in here, and I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 or 5, but anyway. It was funny because I was talking to John Lucas because I was inviting a couple people to I started inviting some of the people to AirCap, and so I messaged Lucas, and I had just finished reading that, and I told him, I'm like, hey, yeah, I was like, you know, I liked your issues in there, and he's like, yeah, this is like my first DC work. I don't really like it, like, you know,
Really?
as far as like the artwork, but no artist likes their fucking artwork, especially like their first work or whatever. But it was curious because James Robinson is very hard on himself in the back. He's like always talking about like I was a total dick like back when I was writing this stuff, and I was an asshole to everybody, and I was going through a divorce, and you know this and that, and I mean he really talks about it a lot about how like he was just not a nice person and he was rude and this and that, and so I asked John, I was like, how much interaction did you have with James Robinson, you know, like when you were doing it? And he told me he he read Starman and he liked it, and I guess he talked to like somebody that he knew that knew Robinson, and he was like he asked him to set up a meeting, and he went down to like a Dallas Comic Con, and Robinson was there, and that's how they met. And he said they ended up going to him and Robinson and like another group of guys. They went to go see like Spawn, movie Spawn, like in the movie theater or whatever. Like that after the con, like they went to go see Spawn. So, but he was like, yeah, he's like, you know, he seemed like. He's like, I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with him, but I met him and talked to him a little bit at cons and stuff. And he was like, he seemed to be, you know, like a little hard on himself maybe or whatever, and maybe outside of stuff. But, you know, it was just kind of interesting. But it does end. And so I don't know that you've ever read Starman. So I did kind of like the twist towards the end, though, with the mist and with the other, not the mist,
Shade.
Yeah, the shade and the mist, and they have the big throwdown, and he ends up with the kid, and then you know he basically just the girl that he was going out with, and he had actually asked her to marry him before he went into space, and she left. And then she like sent him a letter, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm in whatever California now or wherever. If you wanna stop being Starman and hang out with me and live with me here, and then whatever." And so he basically just decides that's what he wants to do. And he stops being Starman. He hops in his car, and he makes sure that is it Star City?
Yeah.
He makes sure that it's taken care
Opal
of.
City.
Opal City. He makes sure that it's taken care of, and maybe it's got the protectors and everything. I think so. I should know after I read 80 issues of it. I can't remember the name of the fucking city that he's in, but and then you know, with his father goes out in a really cool way. They tie up that whole weird thing with the Starman from the 80s or late 80s, early 90s. How he's like the guy from. Like the guy from outer space, the Gavin guy, like came into his body, and you know, because that's the whole point of going into space, was his sister thought that he was still alive.
Yeah.
So he went into outer space to like find him, and that gets resolved. The dad goes out kind of in a hero way, and he hops in the car, loads his kid, and he drives cross country to California to start his life. You know, I thought it was cool.
Cool.
I liked it.
Nice. It's a good book.
Yeah, it's good. These take a little longer to read because there's more of them. But yeah, that's what I've had these forever, so I thought, well, might as well finally.
When were those originally written?
90s.
Yeah, because it started in like 0. The very first issue was 0.
Yeah.
So it was when DC was doing their 0 hour, which was 92, 93, 94.
I put that out later.
I don't think so. I think it.
Okay. Might be right. Maybe I'm thinking of that 1 million one.
You're probably thinking of 1 million because 0 was right around that time.
I was in college.
Yeah.
So probably mid-90s.
But yeah, and it ran for like 80 issues, so however many years that is, so probably 92
Is that funny?
98, 99.
So long ago.
It's a long
What?
ago.
When we were in college.
Exactly.
Oh, it was a long time ago.
All right.
But anyway, that's what I have. I enjoyed my reading.
What you got there, Drew?
Oh, nothing. I'll say
Nothing?
that next time.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Come on.
Is that
There's something
two?
that you could probably talk real quickly
I
about.
gave him 2.
I want to know about the seeds because I bought
I'll
like
talk about
the
that real quick.
first.
See,
I bought like the
there you
first
go.
couple
All right, we'll do
issues
the
of
seeds.
it,
That's
but I
all I'm
never
gonna do.
finished it.
This is by Innocenti and David Aja. David Aja is an amazing artist.
Yeah.
Has a really good style. Kind of Greg Smallwood-ish a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Not quite, but similar. But I bought this because I was looking for a trade to buy, and I like Innocenti from back in the 80s or whatever.
Just,
And I like David.
I was looking for a trade to
And
buy.
I like David
Sometimes you're
Aja.
looking for
Something
a
there.
trade to buy.
I was kind of looking for something to read. This book is okay. So basically, it's like there's a city and it's like enclosed in a fence, and people are going outside of the fence to get away from technology. Because inside the city, like there's technology or whatever, you know. So people outside the fence are like off the grid. They're kind of getting away from all that. Well, there's like this news reporter lady, and then there's this prostitute, and this prostitute is with this guy, and the guy, it turns out, is an alien. And so there's like aliens are like infiltrating like society because basically the human race Earth is on a downward spiral.
Oh.
So the aliens, they go around, they collect like seeds and like specimens and stuff to take back to like this huge somebody who pays them for it to like kind of harvest stuff for like this dying race, I guess for a historical record or whatever, you know, because they're collecting genetic material of different races or whatever. So there's like a news reporter lady, and she's friends with the prostitute, and the prostitute ends up falling in love with one of the aliens and gets pregnant or whatever, you know.
Of course,
And
yeah,
then-
how these things go.
And the news reporter is like trying to expose it, but then she realizes maybe she shouldn't expose it, and so I don't know, it's like a whole. It's only 4 issues, so it seems like there's a lot in there for 4 issues,
Wow.
and so it's pretty dense. And Innocenti still kind of writes like in the late 80s, early 90s.
That's what I was gonna say.
And so it's kind of like those old, like when people were just
see
figuring
it.
the medium out. Like it's kind of like Watchmen, or kind of like you remember like Stray Toasters or like Electro Assassin. It's kind of that where there's a lot of narration, like not thought bubbles, but like it's different characters' narration, but you don't really know which character is narrating at each time, and it just feels very disjointed. And it's almost like she's got too many threads going and doesn't quite have enough focus.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's an okay read, but it didn't quite fire on all cylinders and come quite together right. But I mean, it's beautiful to look at because David Aja artwork is super cool, and it's got this cool like 2-tone, like kind of green,
Yeah.
black, not black and white, but kind of a green tone. So I don't know, it's not a bad book, but it definitely seemed like it kind of missed the mark a little bit.
That was one of those that I was interested in, and I think I bought the first issue, and then I either pandemic happened and it slowed down or whatever, but I ended up not getting, like, it disappeared and I couldn't find it, and so
Sure.
I didn't buy the whole thing.
Well,
I
Dark
don't
Horse
think.
did weird stuff. Like a lot of their series, like they stopped putting them out, and then they went straight to the trade, and then I mean,
Well, yeah, because there
And-
were a lot of them that the trades were coming out before the.
yeah, like this
but-
trade was solicited before the issues. Like I ordered like one of that X-ray robot trade by Allred,
Mm-hmm.
and so I ordered it like back in I don't know February, March, and then a couple months later I see like issue 3 solicited. I'm like,
Yeah, they went.
How did I pre-order the trade and now you're soliciting
Yeah,
issue 3?
there was a weird thing in there where
Dark Horse was
did it.
really bad about
Yeah.
it.
But
All
it-
their stuff got
they
jacked
they were
up.
printing they were soliciting the trades while issue 3 or 4 were being solicited, but they did finish out the single issues, but the trades were available
Yeah.
either right at the same time it ended or before it ended.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was
it's
weird.
bizarre. So yeah.
So it got caught up in all that crap, and I missed it or whatever. I'm pretty sure. I don't know that I have
You're
all 4
welcome to
issues.
borrow it.
Nah,
Okay.
it doesn't.
wasn't that
you
good.
didn't sell
I
it
didn't
to
sell
me.
He
I'm
really
I
did
wouldn't
sell
waste
it.
my-
I
I'm
know.
not.
I
I'm
didn't know if
not.
giving that one to Scott. That's
I'm
how
not
bad
tracking.
Oh, wow.
I'm not tracking down these issues
Okay.
to read it. I think I'll be fine if
You'll
I
be
only
fine.
have issue 1. In
it is.
fact, I
There's
may
plenty
not
of
read
other
what I
stuff
have.
to read.
Other things
If
to
you read
waste
issue
your
1
time
and you're
on.
just totally intrigued, you should follow through. But
That's true.
so that's all I have. Like I have some other stuff, but my phone's about dead.
Is Outcast
One more issue.
They
really?
keep saying it's going to end, and
I
then
was
keep
like,
getting
I
more
thought it was
issues of
supposed to end. I thought it ended like 2
I think
years
there's one
ago.
more issue, but
I
they
did
pretty much
too.
wrapped everything up in that issue, so it's just
I did
epilogue
too.
at that point.
Is it? They
What?
did wrap up everything.
Pretty much in that issue. Yeah.
So what is it satisfying to you? Yeah.
It was what
Okay,
it is.
in its own way. Unearth, are you still liking
Yeah, I like
that?
one.
Okay, that's a lot
I'm
of
kind
those.
of biased though because I know those guys.
Right, exactly
So it's
right. I
like-
mean, it's kind of
It'll
like
be interesting to reread that thing when they all come out because I think I'm still a little lost on the story.
okay.
So yeah.
As flipping through there, those are kind of the ones that kind of highlight me because
Yeah.
Unearth, the same type of thing. It's a lot of those guys that we've met before.
Yeah.
And
I'm
things.
buying them, but I'm
but,
not anywhere near.
And
caught up.
Outcast, just because of the fact that it's been
it's
out
fun.
there
I mean,
for
it was
a
good. I
decade,
mean-
and I thought it ended. And so I was
Yeah.
shocked as hell to see it there. I was like, "What?"
It's been really slow these last couple issues coming out.
I thought it ended too, but I keep ordering another issue. I thought this thing was supposed to be over. Like,
keeps
when's this
going,
thing
man.
done?
Okay,
All right,
cool.
we're done.
Anything
All right.
else?
I think so.
Thanks
I think
everyone.
We're done. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.